Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Punching Up, your bi-weekly Nintendo podcast here on Last Stand Media, coming to you live from seemingly the capital of the world right now, Butler, Pennsylvania. Well, I mean, it's not live, but it is certainly the most well-known place at this given time, Butler, PA. Here we are for no particular reason other than this is, of course, where Ben and I broadcast the show out of. So. Joining me here today, Mama Micah. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, I mean, Dustin, Butler really put on the map, right? You got the Burger King slap. You got that rock that everybody was driving over.
Rock the Rock,
Who could have
R.I.P.
thought that there'd be something else? Oh, what, did they get rid of him?
Yeah, they got rid of it because too many people were driving over it. And it was making the front page of Reddit every time, so...
Oh, man. I mean, who would have thought that Butler could have been even more famous after those two, monumental events?
Yeah, Holly was telling me that normally if you're like traveling and you say, oh, I'm from Butler, first people don't know where it is. And you're like, oh, we made the Jeep. The Bantam Jeep was created here in Butler. We have a festival.
Is that where the Jeep was created, really?
Yep. The Jeep was created.
No shit.
Awesome. We didn't manufacture them really, I don't think, but we did create it here.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I have a kinship with Jeep because Jeeps were named after the Popeye character Eugene the Jeep.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Jeeps weren't named after cars. Jeeps were named after the Popeye character Eugene the Jeep. And it was named after it because Eugene the Jeep could just go anywhere, right?
Sure. That makes sense.
So that's what Jeeps do.
That's what Jeeps certainly attempt to do. I don't know.
Yeah. That's why I popped off when I heard that Jeeps were born there. I was like, oh, I have a stronger connection. It's so loose, but yeah.
Yeah.
I've always had a strong connection with Jeeps though. So my ex-fiance drove a Jeep too. So
all the recent news in Butler, it was hysterical to see all the interviews and how many people were in Jeeps. Like, because Dustin, you had told me previously about Jeep Fest and all that stuff. And it is, as I'm watching the news of these current events that happened, there were so many people in Jeeps. They got all the rubber ducks on the dashboard and everything. Like, there were just so many Jeeps on the news because of this. And it was just so funny of like, here it is. This is Jeep Town, USA.
Yeah, as far as Jeep ownership, like particularly, I guess in the summer when we have Jeep Fest, there's people that travel in for it. Honestly, it might be more Subarus around here. Western PA weather. It's like 1 in 4 people probably have a Subaru. At least it feels like it sometimes. But yeah, it was crazy. As people, our audience, if you've listened to not Define You, but Sacred Symbols Plus or Constellation, Ben and I have both talked about being from Butler, and of course that's where the Butler Farm Show grounds are, where the assassination attempt happened. I'm laughing because it's so weird. The Butler Farm Show ground. This is a place that I go to nearly every year because when you live in Butler, PA, there's not a lot of big events. And the farm show, being in rural Pennsylvania, is a big one. And so I've been going to that place my whole life. In fact, Micah, I know you saw in the Discord, I found a picture of me eating a deep fried Pop-Tart, and you can see in the background the barn that the Secret Service was on top of, the image you repeatedly see of them. Look, you can see it right there. I've been in that barn many, many times to look at horses, or I think sheep might be in that barn in particular, if I remember. But it's pretty crazy. But
yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because like I'm also from like a small town place. All right, if you told me that like there was an assassination attempt at my local fairgrounds that I had been going to since I was a kid, and it's like, you mean in like the quilting building, like, JFK got shot in our local. It really is. It's just like, I can't imagine how weird this must be. And that's the only reason I'm laughing, is because it's like, I'm from a very small town like Butler. I cannot fathom something like that happening just at our little fairgrounds where, yeah, you see the tractor pull and you look at the prize winning cows every year. Like, it's like you're telling me a major historical event happened here. Like, this is going to be in a history book someday. And then pictures of the barn that you're eating a Pop-Tart in front of will be in it. Like, it's just so weird.
Yeah, it's strange. But before we keep going, Gene, I want to bring you in here. Gene Park, of course. Hello, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. Yeah, just as shook as anyone else could be. Still, it's Tuesday morning, but it's still crazy, you know. Last night was the RNC, and Trump made his first public appearance.
With that little
and
pillow on his ear.
Yeah, he's got a little bandage. It was like a gauze pad, more like.
I don't know what's going on with that. A lot of people were making fun of him, saying like, "Oh, they made it comically big." I'm like, there's a fucking chunk of his ear cut out, and the doctor probably just slapped it on. Everything's a conspiracy. Everything.
Yeah. I see nothing wrong with it. I was wondering like what kind of bandage it was. Though. I have no. It's fine. Like I was surprised at how loose it looked. I guess that was kind of what I was surprised at. You know.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that it's serious. Come on, man, dude. If a bullet just whizzed past me, I would be pretty shooketh. You know.
Certainly.
For a good long time. Fuck, cancer was a bullet. I'm still shook. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, Trump, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Butler, Pennsylvania, though. I have one question to you, sure. Justin.
Yeah.
I was watching the interviews of all the kids talk about the shooter, right? And they're like, oh, we made fun of him because, you know, he was always wearing like camo, like hunting outfits. What? Is that an area where kids would be made fun of for wearing hunting outfits? Like camo gear? Like, I knew a lot of kids like that. We didn't make fun of them. We just hung out with them because they had guns.
So to my understanding, the shooter's not from Butler.
Bethel Park.
He's
right?
from Bethel Park, which is going to be much more Pittsburgh and a lot less rural. Because, I mean,
okay.
At my school where I went, Butler High School, of course, they would just give you the day off. Everybody, the first day of hunting season, they knew that so much of the school would skip for the first day of deer season.
Okay,
they just give everybody off. So that's how common it was. More like you got made fun of if you didn't want to hunt. Not that it was everybody, but certainly, and maybe not even half, but a large portion that. If you're in a certain crowd and you talk about not wanting to hunt, people are going to be like, what are you, a bitch? You don't want to kill a fucking live animal and eat it? It's like, well, I'd maybe eat it. I don't really want to kill it. But so, yeah, certainly not. It's, yeah. I don't want to say I'm like, not surprised he's not from Butler because, dude, Butler is deep Trump territory. Very contrasted against even just a few miles north or south in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I don't know. It's strange.
I don't know. I mean, you know, again, we don't know. We still don't know nothing about this kid. You know, he's still Republican, so that's all we know. You know.
Yeah, so many people are hanging on that and using that as a gotcha.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't mean anything. You know. Yeah, registering as a Republican is like an extra step that like some people wouldn't take. But you know, like. Surprise! I was registered Republican when I was 21 to 25. You know.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean anything. You know.
I initially registered as Republican, and then at the time in 2016, I really didn't like Trump, and I became independent. And then when Ben was running for mayor, in order to vote for him in the primaries, I had to be registered Republican, and that's just what I've been ever since. And I'm like, yeah. So
yeah, see, so if it was you, then we would be having stories about how you were a registered Republican just to vote for your fucking friend Ben,
right?
But then everybody would extrapolate so much out of that, right?
Oh, certainly, people
other than Justin's just a guy who wanted to vote for his coworker and buddy Ben, you know.
Right. Well, you don't need to be a wannabe assassin for people to try to extrapolate every part of your politics by certain tiny details. That's never happened.
It's never happened to you, Dustin.
So. No. So, yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, God, if it was Dustin, man, dude,
Dude,
the stories would be terrible.
when
It
it
would
was
be the association with Colin, and it would just spiral out of control.
you'd
Yeah,
all be going down with me. If
yeah,
that
of
was the
course.
case.
Yeah, we will all go down with you.
Dude, I shit you not. It's so let's say, okay, so that happened at what, 6:09 or ish. I'm at a friend's house, and it's like we're all in his living room like it's fucking 9/11 watching the TV because the farm show ground is 2 miles away.
That's
I'm
crazy.
getting tagged and people are like, "Oh, Dustin, what are you up to over in Butler?" People putting my face over the JFK shooter, which that appeared in Jaffe's stream. I was like, dude, I texted Colin and Chris. I'm like, if these, because of our audience, if I get contacted by the FBI and I'm fucking just hanging out drinking a Yingling flight, I'm gonna be mad. So
And the truth, though,
yeah.
is that if Dustin was there, he would have issued a stand down and none of this would have happened. All right. If Dustin had been present, he would have just said, whoa, 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 stand down.
Stand
The
down.
guy would have said, my bad. He would have climbed down. Everything would have been fine.
The power to stand down, you know, Trump would stand down, Biden would just win anyways, and, you know, status quo persists. You know, Dustin would have been the king of status quo, but
yeah,
he had to have that Yingling, so
had to have that Yingling flight. It's not even a full Yingling; it's the Yingling light beer version.
I know, yeah.
They're not that great. It was given to me, but it was all right. So, dude, the thought of even going. First of all, I explained in a very poorly aged Sacred Symbols segment from last week that it was going to be chaos at the Trump rally, and I had no interest in being anywhere near it, which was true in more ways than one. But I was outside that day, just during the day. It was so fucking hot. It was like 90 degrees in the sun, dude. Those people there, certainly there are some odd reactions from people in the background where you're like, why aren't you freaking out? There's like a bullet that just whizzed by. But some of them, like, these people were probably certainly on the brink of heat stroke and very delirious as it is. Because I can't even imagine being there. It was so hot. I mean, this has been overshadowed, of course, but before it happened, there was like news reports that there were a bunch of people experiencing like heat stroke before, of course,
That's right, yeah, and people were lining up like it was like the Halo 3 launch day, you know, for that show, you know, people were lining up like early in the morning, you know, it was crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, I haven't actually. So that happened Saturday. I stayed at home.
I feel bad for people. I feel bad for the people. I'm sorry, but like you mentioned about like how people weren't reacting in a certain way because they were probably delirious. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever been in an area or neighborhood where there's a lot of gunshots around, but you know when you hear them pop off, it takes you a minute to react to it. You know, because I don't know, you don't think about it for a second. You know, so. Yeah, if the crowd wasn't reacting right away, I mean, they probably thought it's a couple. It's just like what 2 weeks after July 4th. You know, you might still think it's fireworks or something. You know,
right? And I feel like
I live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of gunshots. Right, I live in Washington D.C. So every time it pops off, you're just like, oh, did I get hit? Okay, and then it heads down. You know, but it takes a minute though.
Right, and I feel like. I don't know.
As long as you didn't get hit. Trump got hit, kind of, you know, so that's why he reacted immediately. You know, of course he did.
Right. And someone actually did get hit too. And
and then someone actually did get hit, you know, which is terrible, you know?
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyways.
Let's talk about Nintendo here on Punching Up, our bi-weekly Nintendo podcast here at Last Stand. Of course, over at patreon.com/laststandmedia. That's how we survive, where you can get early access to this show, Sacred Symbols, Defining Duke, Constellation, Summon Sign, all the above. You can get early access and, of course, write into our various shows. I have your write-ins already peppered in throughout this show to look forward to. I post a thread usually on Saturday or Sunday, so you can write in and be a part of the show, and that's at the $2 level. So if you like what we do, please support us over there. We would really appreciate it. Guys, I have one thing to address. Important business matters. Not business, but show matters. This comes from Drew. Oh, wait, no, this isn't from Drew. Drew wrote in, said, "Nice town. You got anything going on there? JK, you're the best. Take care." I meant to read Drew earlier. But as far as Dagon, did we talk about it 2 weeks ago? That Dagon's coming back, or was that just? It was revealed on Sacred, unexpected for me, because I knew that he was coming back, but Colin was like, "Oh, he's coming back." I was like, "Okay."
I remember that. Yeah, I remember. He's. Yeah. I don't think it was on here. I think. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was on Sacred.
Too many events have happened. Not even the realm of world events, but just between now and 2 weeks ago, I can't remember what's going on.
Yeah, and you still have a kid on the way.
Yep. That can happen anytime.
Does that cackle evilly?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, I think it was 2 weeks ago we talked about when the kid's here, Brad will be taking over. That was our important business matter, not the status of Dagon. So for those of you who don't know, Dagon will be coming back to Punching Up in the future. He has already returned to Constellation, and there's some news about Knockback kind of going on ice. You can check out a full letter from Colin over on Patreon, free to all, if you want some updates on that. But as far as Dagon returning to Punching Up, I actually just talked to him yesterday. And so while his schedule is freeing up to return to Constellation, he is still very busy and needs a little more time before he returns to Punching Up. He said he expects around October, which I actually think I told him this works out nicely because when I'm gone forever, how many weeks, the show will be different because Brad is hosting. And then when Dagon comes back, it will be different again. And if Dagon were to come back now and Brad becomes the new host, the show would be really, really different. So we can kind of space out some of these gradual changes. But Dagon will return, just not now, hopefully in a few months. And we can go from there. And as, of course, I mentioned, Brad will be taking over for me as host. But, of course, Micah, Gene will remain on the show. And when that happens, I don't know. There's a very high likelihood that I will not be on the next episode since it's 2 weeks away from today. Super hype. So look forward to that. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That's the thing about not knowing. I pretty much wake up every day now, and I know it's unlikely. I'm like, is today the day? Today I was working, and Holly called me when she has a few tiny lessons remaining, and she called me. I'm like, oh shit, is this it? Who knows? Could happen.
No, I found it very endearing, Dustin. Holly had mentioned to me that like you went out with friends, last week, and you had said like if anything happens, call me, and it's just like it's very endearing though that like you are like on high alert now. Like you could be at the grocery store and she could call you, be like, oh hey, it's happening. Like it could just be any time right now. So I just found that quite sweet though that she was like, I think you were going to like a movie or something, and he was like, call me if anything happens. And she's like, yes, I will. But it really is. It's weird. You guys are like the closest people in my orbit that I've been able to observe is the wrong word, but I've been able to kind of be there for the ride throughout the whole pregnancy type deal. Like Holly giving me updates and things. Like this is the first time I've actually been like in the back seat of like, oh wow, like two very close people to me are about to become parents. And now it's like that 9 months just like flew by. And now suddenly it's like, holy shit, it's here.
Yeah.
When did you announce it? And at the live show? When was the live show?
March?
January? March? Jesus. Wow.
Yeah, because it was starting to get a little warmer out. I believe that was March. So, yeah, but it'll be here sooner than you think. I'm waiting for the moment to kick into gear. So
dad mode.
Dad mode, engage.
You gotta shift into dad mode. You gotta put on the Crocs. You gotta flip down the straps into the 4-wheel drive mode.
Yeah.
You gotta be ready.
Right. I've got the New Balances now because I went to buy new shoes and they didn't have the Nike SBs that I wanted. So I was like, well, I guess this is really a sign for me to change. So I got the New Balances ready to go. But we'll see. Should be soon. All right, so we're breaking in, I think, first ever Punching Up pickup recorded the following day of recording. I'm here with Gene. Gene, I love that Ninja Turtle shirt. How are you?
I love this shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts. I wear it all the time. It's very airy too. So You know,
I like it. I like
good
it.
for the hot weather today.
So we're here because just this morning, Nintendo has revealed about Emio. And
Emio.
I keep screwing it. I think I said it different ways
That's
in the
fine. You're
following
American.
segment.
That's okay.
I'm American.
Yeah.
Emio.
I mean,
Wait.
it's how we got Sakamoto in Persona 5, right? Like that's
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing. Anyways,
So Emio.
Mhm.
Okay. So here's the rundown, real quick for the audience. So as I mentioned, the whole not the whole show, but the main segment of the show was about this game, the mystery around it, why Nintendo hadn't said anything, and lo and behold, here they go this morning, reveal everything.
everything.
So everything.
Who's
It's all
developing
revealed.
it? Everything. Yeah.
It's all out on the table. So here's what we're gonna do. I have a new write up. This is gonna be the first segment topic of the news. After Gene and I are done talking about it, we're gonna roll into the news we thought or what we knew at the time. And we're going to keep it in there just because we had a really good conversation about horror games on Nintendo, some interesting stuff. So just know the next part of this show is going to have some outdated information. If you want to skip it, timestamps are there. It's up to you. But I thought there was some good stuff in there. So without further ado, let's get into this. The mystery of Emio has been revealed. Nintendo has announced Emio, the Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club is coming to Switch on August 29th. And this is the eShop listing, all of the pitch, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It says, a student has been found dead. His head was covered with a paper bag with an eerie smiling face drawn in it, much like the victims of Emio, the Smiling Man, a killer of urban legend who is said to place such a bag over his victims' heads. As an assistant private investigator, you are tasked with helping police solve this crime, which is reminiscent of a series of unsolved murders from 18 years ago. Has a serial killer returned, or is this the work of a copycat? Are these crimes inspired by the Smiling Man story, or the origin of it? Discover the answers to these questions and more as members of the Itsugi Detective Agency in this intense story of suspicion, isolation, and fragility. Explore an interactive drama full of interesting characters. And then it gets into, this is probably the most interesting part, I'd say. Continue the adventures of the Itsugi Detective Agency with the return of familiar characters, including the returning protagonist from previous games and Ayumi Tachibana, who is now a playable character in certain sections of the game for the first time in the series. Playing as the investigative duo, you'll need to learn a lot about the personalities and backstories of the other characters if you want to discover the truth. Who is harmless and who is keeping important secrets? Ask questions, reference your notes, and make connections. You have to order your thoughts and examine your leads carefully to draw the right conclusions. So, Famicom Detective Club, originally released in 1988 for the Famicom Disk System, Japan only. These titles were not released outside of Japan until 2021, where they were remade for the Nintendo Switch with English localizations. It comes in a 2-pack. Some of you may remember that from a few years ago. The game's designer, Yoshio Sakamoto. Yeah, Sakamoto has been... wouldn't it be Sakamoto? Sakamoto?
Sakamoto, yeah. Sorry, Sakamoto.
Yeah, Sakamoto has been with Nintendo since 1982. He began as a graphic designer on Donkey Kong and eventually directed classic titles such as Super Metroid and Metroid Zero Mission. More recently, he's moved into a producer position, producing WarioWare titles, and most recently, Samus Returns and Metroid Dread. And so he's back as the producer and writer of this game, the first game in the series for a very long time. Gene, when we hopped on this call, you said you had a lot to say, so I'd love to have you take it away. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I see a lot of people disappointed that it isn't a new survival horror game. I get it. We, you know, as you'll hear in the next segment, a lot of us have our own ideas based on what this is. I'm pretty excited about this. Now, let me be clear. I am not a Famicom Detective Club player. I did not play the games back in the day, you know. So I don't claim any kind of OG status for this one. Here's a fascinating thing. Even I haven't played these fucking games, and yet here's Nintendo saying, you know, we know that these games didn't sell all that well, right? Come on, you know. I try to look it up. The numbers aren't even there, right? And yet here's
Right.
Nintendo saying, "Oh, one of our most respected creators actually has another story in his head. He's got an artistic vision for a long time series that doesn't sell well, but we love this guy, Yoshi Sakamoto. You know, Metroid doesn't even sell all that well, to be quite honest, right? It's not like a
Right.
$5 million seller. It's a $3 million, $4 million seller. Right? That was the best ever for Metroid Dread. Yet here's Nintendo saying, "Oh, you want to do something weird and interesting in a series that doesn't sell well at all, not even as good as Metroid. Here you go. We'll support you. We will put out a mysterious tweet and we'll put out a whole documentary interview and promote it. You know."
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, here comes Famicom Detective Club. You know, an IP that isn't one of Nintendo staples. You know, and then we look at the competition. You know, even we're just talking about Concord. Oh my God, how is Firewalk going to do? We know what happens to Microsoft. You know, oh, Harvey Smith, you created you are one of the innovators. You built the foundations of the immersive sim genre, one of the most beloved and most creative video game genres in the medium, right? Oh, we're just gonna close your fucking studio down because we made one game that didn't do that well, you know. Sorry, Harvey Smith, legend of the game industry, you're out in the fucking street, and so is everyone else, right? So think about a difference in terms of how creativity is nurtured, right? At Nintendo versus any other company, you know?
Yeah, it's important to mention. I didn't put it in my write up about him, but he also, I think the last game, maybe not the last one, but a game that he directed was Metroid Other M.
Yeah, yeah.
Which not very well received, and of course a Metroid game. So probably,
yeah.
I would assume, I don't know this with certainty, but I would assume it's a low seller in a low seller franchise.
Yeah, but it was a critical. It was lambasted critically. Everyone fucking hated it. Even I was making fun of it back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And so
but
it was an embarrassing game. Yet Nintendo was like, "No, we love this guy, man. He's Yoshio Sakamoto." You know,
right? It's something that I don't obviously have any firsthand experience with, but you see Nintendo, and maybe this goes for just Japanese companies in general, but loyalty from both the creators and from the company, like a mutual level of loyalty, because look at how many OGs from Nintendo are still around.
Exactly. Andy Robinson of VGC just made that point, but it's like, man, the Switch 2 might be the last generation of all the OG Nintendo creators who are so many of them are still working there, you know? Most of them are still working there, you know?
Yeah. It's pretty neat and sad. I mean, it's sad for us. I mean that you know, people eventually have to move on, retire, stuff like that. But feeling very thankful at the same time, of course. But Gene, I wanted to ask you about what you thought about this marketing tactic, because it definitely got people wound up.
Yeah.
It was very different, and in fact, the video that we're about to talk about in the next segment is like very realistic, comes off as a full-blown horror game, and then now it's revealed that it I don't want to say something lesser, but certainly something very different from what was teased. Do you think that they bamboozled people to some degree in a way that could be perceived as negative?
What's funny is that, you know, in the next segment, we talk about the marketing strategy. I think I remember talking about that, right? And how different this was. I think it's different. I think it's cool. Look at how much attention Famicom Detective Club is getting now because of the little stunt they pulled a couple of days ago, right? It's an interesting way to market a visual novel series that's very niche and very only really niche in Japan, not even niche in America, you know?
Right.
And this was a forgotten series, but it's interesting that they're bringing it back out. Also, let's put some respect on the visual novel genre. Not only is it very popular, obviously the Ace Attorney games are a huge hit, right, and well beloved, and we all love the Ace Attorney games, right? But the visual novel genre itself, we wouldn't have the JRPG genre or many genres today if it wasn't for the visual novel genre. You know, Yuji Horii, the creator of Dragon Quest, created Dragon Quest because he made Hokkaido Serial Murders, and everything in Dragon Quest is just basically lifted from Hokkaido Serial Murders. Instead of talk or investigate, it's fight and spells. You know, so you know, This, if anything, this kind of hyped me up. This made me go search whether Famicom Detective Club has physical copies on the Switch. It does not for the US. But watch out. There is only a physical collection set in Japan. It looks really cool. Comes with an art book and soundtracks and everything, and in a cool box. It's like $100 or a lot more expensive now. Obviously, it was a base $100. Did not have English support, which is weird. A lot of Japanese games will usually have like the English dub or at least the English subtitles in there. This one does not. So, if you want the original Famicom Detective Club, it's just a digital download for us here in the States if you only know English.
Well, that's a perfect question that I was going to ask you. Are you going to go check out these two games, the remakes from just a few years,
1000%. But this is a blind spot in my Nintendo knowledge, and I want to fill it. I want. And Sakamoto is a guy. He's a producer, right? And he's a very skilled game maker. He's obviously one of the pioneers of the Metroidvania genre, right? I mean, Metroid obviously was part of it, but Super Metroid was really the game that tighten that formula together and really make it to Super Metroid walks so Castlevania Symphony of the Night can run, right? And the rest is history. So he's obviously a talented game developer, but he's also a very passionate writer, So I really want to see what is right. Other M got made fun of for its like terrible story, but like you can tell the ambition there. He made a lot of bad writing choices. He's not the best writer in games, but he is a passionate writer and he does have a lot of ideas. And it seems like Famicom Detective Club is something that he just couldn't let go, just like Metroid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll definitely be checking these out. I really want, and obviously, Famicom Detective Club has been upgraded with visuals. He gets so excited about the animations and the visuals. So he's really, really excited about the technology advancement in visual novel presentation these days. So I'm excited to see what these games are about. So maybe I'll report back in the next Punching Up.
Yeah, I would like to check them out.
Let's have a book club. Let's have a Famicom Detective Book Club.
Yeah, I do have my few visual novels that I've gotten really into. I mean, specifically Danganronpa
of course,
is my shit. Mm-hmm. And so I love the mystery aspect. And so, when these came out, I was mildly interested, but with how fast games move, it's like things come and go. Sometimes you miss things, but I'm definitely more interested now in it. And so maybe I will check it out.
Yeah, you're probably more of a visual novel aficionado than I am. I'm not interested in Danganronpa at all.
No. Oh, you should be, because it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
so good. Everybody I like the Game Grumps, like they're doing a Danganronpa run right now. Micah, who's not here, of course, because she got. Is it really her birthday today?
Yeah, I realized a moment ago that I never addressed why Micah wasn't here because I was so excited to get into this.
Yeah.
Today is Micah's birthday, and I was trying to put this together as quick as possible. And she's like, I can be there, but, I was like, Micah, don't worry about it. Please enjoy your birthday. If you're listening to this later today as we're recording, go wish Micah a happy birthday.
Definitely, yeah.
Today.
But yeah, Micah's a visual novel aficionado too. So yeah, maybe this is something we can all check out,
Yeah, that'd be great. All right. Well, I think that is about it for this this little this punch in here. Is this a punch in for punching up, a little punch into the episode. We're gonna go into the news that we knew at the time right after this.
Oh yeah, wait. Sorry to interrupt real quick. The review embargo for NES World Championships lifted. I did play that for a little bit, but I didn't play enough to really say much about it. But people are it doesn't seem to have online leaderboards, so that's something to warn about. That kind of sucks.
Seems like the whole point.
It does feel like the whole point. One of the online wasn't connected when I was playing, so if it feels like a very isolated experience. And then so now that we know that there's no leaderboards, feels like it's going to continue to be a pretty isolated experience. Other than you have a fun party game to play with other people, So
I got my Best Buy ship notification for the physical.
Yeah, Nintendo is actually sending me a physical copy, which is very rare. They never do that. So they're asking me to do an unboxing video. So
okay,
I have to do that.
Very nice.
Did you think LSM would host an unboxing video for me?
I don't see why not. I mean, you can always ask the big dog. I mean, why not?
I just post it on my YouTube channel. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's fine.
I mean, why not? I think it'd be great. I'd love to do unbox. I'd love to do anything. Whatever. Well, maybe not anything, but we'll see what my limits are. We'll see what your
Dustin
limits are.
Titty Streamer era.
Dustin Titty Streamer. Coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to the rest of the episode. Guys, let's get into some Nintendo news. 20 minutes into the show, we're ready to go. So I did a little write up here. Let me just read it to you guys. It says Nintendo is teasing a new horror game, potentially. Tweeting from their official Twitter account, Nintendo simply posted saying, hashtag, who is Emio? Gene, how did you say it? Emio? Emio?
Yeah.
We don't really know because it's never been spoken out loud officially.
Yeah, there's no Japanese way of saying like Emio. Like there's no enunciation, so it would just be Emio.
Emio.
So.
Okay, so hashtag who is Emio with a link to a 15-second teaser. This video features a man in a trench coat with a bag over his head, and the bag has a creepy smiley face on it. And the end briefly has some Japanese text that pops up that roughly translates to smiling man. This is according to Nintendo Life doing the translation. Initially, rumors began to emerge that this was a project headed by Bloober Team, the developers behind the upcoming Silent Hill remake, and some of you may remember The Medium as well. This comes from their CEO. They once revealed they were working on a Nintendo Switch exclusive called Project M. So people were connecting the dots. It's like, they said they're working on a Switch exclusive. They're a horror developer. This is Project M. However, on IGN's Nintendo voice chat, it was relayed they had multiple sources confirming it was not linked to Bloober.
Thank God.
Yeah. I thought the same thing.
Oh my God. I would have been like, I'm not the kind of person to say industry plan. But if Bloober Team somehow partnered with fucking Nintendo, like they got some kind of like hostage like information on like people in the industry to be getting all these deals. You know? But thank goodness.
Yeah. Hopefully Silent Hill remake's good, but it feels unlikely. I'll be honest.
It looks okay. I mean, the credit to Bloober, it looks fine. I'm not a big hater of the Silent 2 remake, but I don't like Bloober.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wait until the Silent Hill 2 remake comes out, and then if it's good, I'll be like, it's because you copied Silent Hill 2. That's why. So
certainly.
Yeah.
So I guess a big question on a lot of people's mind is that Nintendo making a horror game. How could this be, right? But truly, this isn't Nintendo's first time dipping their toes into horror games. Most notably, of course, the most famous probably is Eternal Darkness back on the GameCube, and one of Micah's favorites, or at least a game Micah has played, Fatal Frame, Maiden of Black Water. That was back in 2015. And those were both Nintendo published games, but not Nintendo developed. So Silicon Knights made what is it called? Eternal Darkness. And Fatal Frame is Koei Tecmo, Micah? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember now.
But it's not Nintendo developed. They put up the money and published it on their systems. I think Fatal Frame eventually came to PS4 and other systems as well. However, could this be the first ever Nintendo first-party developed horror game? I don't know. Gene, what do you think about this? This has been a big mystery. I kind of expected there to be a new drop of news because this happened a week ago today, I think, and we have not heard anything. And so certainly this feels very out of character for Nintendo to be, even if they're not developing it, to highlighting it to this degree on their social media, doing some kind of mystery reveal. What do you think about this?
Yeah, even the video flashed Nintendo, right? So this is an official Nintendo product. What I think of this, I have no idea. Nintendo's never done anything like this before. So it's a little exciting that they seem to be taking a new, even marketing approach, because they're marketing, like we were making fun of, Colin was making fun of the Horizon. Well, not really making fun of, but he was like just going insane, listening to the Nintendo Direct white man saying, pack in with Aloy in Lego Horizon Adventures, like that's the Nintendo marketing like tone, right?
Yeah.
So if Nintendo is actually going to do something different and they're like, ooh, spooky surprises await October with Emio, like they're not doing it with this one, so it's like, okay, well, maybe Nintendo is like, all right, well, let's really spook the kids a little bit, let's spook people. So I wonder if they're doing a new brave new marketing tactic that could be a little fun. People have always been complaining, I miss the fun Nintendo. I miss when Nintendo was hungry, because that's when they had all these fun directs. That's when, the late Iwata-san and Reggie would be fighting each other in Dragon Ball, like stage, like CG Dragon Ball fights and everything like that. And all these fun skits that they used to do. That left once kind of Reggie and Iwata kind of left the scene, unfortunately. So I wonder if this is them kind of bringing some of that energy back a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. But again, we got nothing. So I don't know. That's just me talking on my ass right now. I'm glad it's not Bloober. Yeah, I wonder if Nintendo's going to do the opposite thing that Sony is, where Sony is like, man, we have all these adult oriented games and we got nothing that we can pass on to the next generation, so we can be a multi-generational entertainment company, right? Like Disney or Fox or Nintendo, or maybe Nintendo's like, well, shit, we got nothing but all these family friendly, like age appropriate games. Maybe we could stand to have something a little bit, dicier. I do like how very Japanese themed it is. Really going again, showcasing. Nintendo wants to showcase we are a Japanese company. We are very, very Japanese. We're besides the white guy Nintendo Direct voice, like we're gonna put our Japanese CEOs and they're gonna be talking Japanese to you.
I
So
find Japanese horror to be particularly creepy and scary.
Yeah. Asian horror, Korean horror,
Yeah.
Yeah, Korean horror goes crazy.
When I was in Japan, we went to Toei Park, and there's a haunted house that is themed like almost like Sekiro style era, but it was a horror that involved dolls and it's interactive. We went on it. I had a rough time. Holly really, I kind of didn't want to, but I was like, oh, whatever. I'm in Japan. I'm going to fucking do it. And Holly was into it. But I made Holly, there's a part where you got to take a blindfold off of a doll in it. And I was like, baby, you're the one who wanted to go on this. You're the one who has to do it. She did it, and immediately a live person jumped out at her as she did it.
Fuck that. That's fucking awful. Yeah. Holy shit.
Actually, so yeah, it was someone. It was like in the dark. You can't see the other end of the room, and somebody, when she did it, like jumped out of the shadows. That's
so intense. That's so like
intense.
Worse than like the haunted houses that we have here in the States. I love all those viral videos of like local news reporters like checking out the haunted houses and they freak out.
Yeah.
But it's just like some Grim Reaper zombie coming out. That. And like if that sound like what you experienced or what Holly experienced, it sounds like it would actually kill somebody.
Yeah. So they have like the Halloween Horror Nights at, basically every park does, but at Kennywood they do them. And last time I was at one, it was really late in the season. And so you could tell that the staff was kind of over it. And I saw a haunted pirate leaving the haunted house area, but he still had to like be in character. So he's like, argh. And then I just saw him like go up to the guy in front of me and he went, argh, like in his ear, almost like he was like whispering a sweet nothing, and then just kept walking. He was just like, argh.
That's cool.
Kept going. It's like, man, I'm glad you're trying still, but not very convincing.
Wait, is that a Butler PA haunted house? I don't know if I want to go to the haunted houses in Butler.
That was that's Pittsburgh. So Kennywood is our only, well, not only, but the main
Pittsburgh too. I don't know what you all guys got going on there in the water there, but
a lot of tractors, themed haunted hayride, stuff like that. But
that's cool.
Mike, let's bring you in on this. I want to start off with Dexterous Joe writing in, who said, punching up crew. What are your initial impressions for Emio? Will it be a new horror title or a funny fake out to another family game? Personally, I imagine this is the last face Nintendo hackers see. Okay, so yeah, if you're a Nintendo hacker, you see Emio's face, the smiling.
That's funny.
He kills you. Take care, and happy to have Dagan back. Not yet, Joe. Not yet, but soon. Micah, your thoughts?
Yeah, this excites me. I am someone who will periodically play a horror game. I enjoy horror, but mostly through books. I played Fatal Frame, Maiden of the Black Water. I got really freaked out though, and I couldn't finish it. There's a scene in that game where you have to walk up to this table full of dolls that are on display, and like kind of you're like, oh, did something one of them change or something? Like it that game really freaked me out. And so I've never finished it. I didn't finish the original Fatal Frame either for the same reason. It's terrifying. Those games are great. The Fatal Frame series has you're trying to eliminate the ghosts with this magic camera that you have essentially. So like the camera is how you kill the ghosts. You got to take pictures of them, which like drains their life force or whatever. But that's your only weapon is this camera. And you just feel like really vulnerable. They're super creepy games. This excites me because I would love to see more horror titles on Switch, of which there's a great collection, actually, because I was trying to remember a specific game, which was the Spirit Hunter series, which is like horror visual novels. But in trying to find those, I was typing in like Switch horror games, and so many were coming up that I was like, what? I had to like narrow this down more. I finally typed in Switch horror, like visual novel. That's what brought it up. But there was a lot more available on Switch in the horror category than I realized. So I think it's great to add to it. I definitely don't think it's just like going to be a fake out and then like, oh, the paper bag turns into like a regular smiley face and he's perfectly fine. Like, I am very hyped about the potential of this to have more horror titles on Switch, because when I do get the, inkling to play one, Switch is, you have the little tiny screen, right? It's a little less scary that way, in my opinion, versus playing it like on the big TV and everything. And oh, I got that, Dustin sent us that sweet soundbar that I've been using when I play up in the loft. Do I want to hear a horror game on that soundbar? I don't think so. Give me the shitty little Switch speakers and we'll be fine. So I think this is fantastic news. I hope we don't have to wait too long to see more, because they've already got Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie, and he's like, it got my attention or my curiosity, whatever he says. I've never seen it. I just know the memes, but they got me on this one.
Yeah, I'm curious about, and I'll ask Eugene about your love or not love about horror games. But for me, I've already made myself sound like a pussy this episode by saying I made Holly get the thing off the doll. So I'll just, we'll just dive in at the end of the pool here. I do play like the big horror games, of course, like Resident Evil, stuff like that, Dead Space, whatever. But I have never understood people that are like, yeah, if you want the real experience, you got to turn off all the lights and put on headphones as loud as possible. I'm like, I'm kind of a wimp, sincerely, but I'll still play these games, but I don't need to do that. Like, I don't need to amplify the experience any further for me. Like, or especially when like horror VR games, I'm like, nah, I can't. I just don't want to do that, period, really, at all. Except for Resident Evil 4, which isn't, not really a scary game, but kind of. That was perfect. That was the right level.
It's horror. It's just not scary.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. Gene, what do you think about horror games? I don't know if we've talked about this. Like, how scary do you want it to be? Are you turning off all the lights, sitting in the dark, ready for anything? Really?
I think we did have a horror
podcast
a couple, like maybe last year or something like that. But I don't think we ever talked about how scary we intensely want it. Now, here's the thing. I'm from Guam, right? In Guam, we have a lot. We're still a very superstitious society, so we still believed in ghosts and vampires. We had a myth about a vampire that would choke us in our sleep if we pissed outside in the jungle, right? And that actually happened. I knew kids that felt like they were going out of breath because they took a shit in the jungle or whatever. It's really weird. And the first time I ever smoked weed, me and my friends entered into an abandoned mental institution. Huge building. It was like it's literally the fucking hospital where I was born, but also they had a mental institution wing that they shut down, and it was completely dilapidated. And so we just walked in and it was the first time I ever smoked weed. Very, very bad idea. Because I remember distinctly that they were like white dogs that they were there. I'm not even fucking joking. They looked like they were ghost dogs.
Yeah.
And then they chased after us, and we all got in the car, and then like we drove out of there as the dogs were chasing us in the car. So I like being scared. Obviously, like I like going into haunted houses, and that's like the first like haunted area I've been to. I like every time I hear about a haunted area, I'm always like, cool, let's check it out. So Mike is very smart. Mike is got good survival instincts. So yeah, I do like intensifying. I do turn off the lights, even for Luigi's Mansion, which we'll talk about later. You know, but I do turn off the lights for scary games. I like scary games. I did think a few games were too scary. Fatal Frame 2 was one of them. And it was kind of like that Japanese ghost house where like I looked into a drawer and a fucking like ghost baby came out, and I was like, I'm done. I had no reason to expect a ghost baby in there, you know.
It's Gene, Fatal Frame. So I played the first one partially on my YouTube channel way back in the day, and it terrified me because it's the type of horror, aside from the jump scares, there were just things in it that were just truly terrifying. And like there's one room that you enter basically where you are finding sort of hints of like how other people died in this house. And essentially there's these ropes that just strangle people. Like these, like the haunted rope is what strangles you. And like you're just realizing that the longer you stay in this area, that like the rope marks start to appear on your own body. Like there isn't actually, or it's a ghost rope, which sounds silly, but I tell you, man, it was so scary. Of like you're walking through the house and then you look at your own arms and realize the rope marks are on you, and you're like, oh my god, like I gotta get out of here. Like it was so
Mhm.
terrifying. I could not finish that game. I didn't finish Maiden of the Blackwater. I want to go back and play it sometime because it was good. But those games are just like they're fucked. Man, they're so scary for what they are, and like jump scares aside, because that always gets me.
They're creepy. They get under your skin.
Yeah,
So yeah, and then like you know, and that's what the best horror games do, right? They're a little bit of pressure cooker, right?
yes.
They're kind of boiling you, and then when it pops off, then that's when it's kind of like the sequence, and you know I'm not gonna spoil it, guys, I promise. But there's a sequence in Resident Evil Village, and I'm sure that, you know, if you know what I'm talking about, one of the houses, you know, it's just a masterful it's a sequence of like you know stuff happening, and then like boom, here comes a scare. Just perfect pressure cooking horror storytelling. So I like that stuff, you know.
I have always wanted to play a Fatal Frame game. I'm a little annoyed. I'm looking. Fatal Frame 2 on PS2, price charting price $95.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're not
yeah.
easy to find.
No, because when I played it, so I was a good noodle. I bought the game digitally on PS3, but you couldn't actually use an Elgato capture card on PlayStation because of the whole
Oh,
that protection thing, HD,
yeah.
whatever. So I bought the game. I did like emulate it on PC to actually get the footage, but I was a good noodle. I paid for a copy first, because I didn't know that it wasn't going to work with my capture card in the first place. But yeah, those games are expensive if you actually want to like own it on disc. You know what I'm thinking of too though, Gene, is when you talk about the like Nintendo Direct voice, and I can just picture them like for like what is it, Dementium the Ward, and it's like explore an abandoned hospital in Dementium the Ward, and he's all like upbeat about it. And this game's
Mhm.
like, you know, I just picture like the terrifying footage going by, like because that was a port that people were really excited about from DS, but it didn't get a lot of love from Nintendo really. I didn't see them really hyping it up very much. So that seems like a marked change for me of like that was a game that I saw a good amount of articles written about because it was this port from DS of a pretty unique title in their collection, and but not a lot like from Nintendo themselves about it.
Yeah. It's now I'm just thinking of like other things the Nintendo voice guy explaining, like other games. Like
Mhm.
I'm trying to like What was that the Rockstar game where you play as like a serial killer?
Manhunt.
Manhunt. It's like
Yeah.
rip out someone's asshole and make them beg for mercy. Win Manhunt. I don't know if you do that in Manhunt, but I'm just assuming.
That sounds like Mad World instead.
Mad
You
World,
ever
yeah.
play that on Wii? That black and white game that was so violent.
Yeah.
So violent. Oh my god.
That was Platinum's first game, right? Mad World, maybe?
I made the mistake of playing that game while high. And I was just like, oh my god. Like it was so intense. It was so intense. And I wasn't ready. When somebody brings out a Wii at a party, you think you're gonna play bowling, maybe Mario Party, all right? I wasn't expecting that. I was not prepared.
Yeah. Not ready for it. But anyway, will you be ready for Emio when it comes out? We have got to wait and see because we don't know anything else other than what we've gone over at this point. But I would imagine certainly next episode there will be something for you guys and Brad to go over. So you have to wait and see on that one. The next one we have here is there's been some new updates to Nintendo Switch Online games. So 3 new games for the Game Boy Advance side. Specifically, it's called Densetsu no Starfy. And this is 1 through 3 on the Game Boy Advance. Here's the little description from Nintendo. Quote, Densetsu is the Japanese word for legend, and Starfy, Prince of Puffed Up Kingdom, golden-hearted and slightly clumsy hero, and frequent aquatic explorer, is ready to show you what makes him so legendary. Join Starfy and his sister, Starly. So there's Starfy and Starly, okay. And his gruff best friend, Mo, for a swimmingly slapstick trilogy of games full of vibrant action and adventure, all originally available for the Game Boy Advance system. In addition, there were 7 new NES games, though these are slightly older now, but we didn't get to go over them last episode. New NES games coming. These are Urban Champion, Golf, Donkey Kong Jr. Math, Mach Rider, The Mystery of Atlantis, Solar, Jetman, and Cobra Triangle. But I'd say the big news here is this Starfy character making his debut. Micah, I don't know if you're well aware of this man, Starfy. Apparently, and of course his sister Starly. How could you forget? And his gruff friend Mo. We got quite a cast of characters here, and I was watching the trailer for this. I thought this looks like a charming little romp. I'm interested. What do you think?
Yeah, I do remember seeing this little character before on box art. He is adorable. So yeah, I might check these out for real because it is just so cute, and cute is usually what gets me to at least walk in the door of something. But Dustin, I gotta say, there's somebody out there who saw Donkey Kong Jr. Math and lost their marbles about it because they were like, oh my god, like that was my game back in the day. Like that there's somebody out there who saw that announcement. It was just like, holy shit, dude, Donkey Kong Jr. Math. Like forget about Starfy. No, that looks really cute. I think I am gonna check that out because it just looks like something that I maybe would be easy enough for me to enjoy. I'm gonna put it that way. I'm not good at platformers. I'm not good at these games. But this looks adorable, and I would check it out. Donkey Kong Jr. Math, though, Dustin? No, don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on that. We're going to get write-ins, I'm sure, telling us how great it is.
I think I had Donkey Kong Jr. Math, but I also had regular Donkey Kong, and it was just known that Donkey Kong Jr. Math was the bad version that made you think. So we never played that version. We only exclusively played Donkey Kong, and that also we were really bad at. But, Gene, do you have affinity for this Starfy man, or maybe have you met his sister Starly? Knowing you,
No, I don't. I don't know anything about these games, surprisingly. But again, here's Nintendo being like, here's just a bunch of Japanese games. Remember, we're a Japanese company. We're not translating these. Fuck you. Try these out though. It's interesting.
Gene, I thought of you just the other day because on my Analog Pocket, I have a bunch of different games on it, and I was checking out not Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo, but it's Dreamland 3 or 4? I think it's 3. And right at the very beginning, look who shows up. Fucking Rick shows up.
Yep.
I'm like, I know who that is now.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to my friend Gene. That's fucking Rick. He's ready to go. He's kind of like, you get to ride Rick. And then Rick, he throws Kirby like a boomerang.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is truly excellent. I consider myself a Rick fan now.
This is exactly why I love the fucking Kirby games. You tried it out and it's like, holy shit, this is rad. You know, these are great platformer games. You know, with a lot of like interesting, unique characteristics and like mechanics. You know, even Forgotten Land recently. You know, you can become a vending machine. You know, that's great.
So good.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Nintendo, keep it up. One last tiny news story here. Just a little bit of food for thought, I would say, because I'm curious what you guys thought of this. So Video Game Chronicle did the math. Over 2,687. That was how many days it was when they posted the article. It's been more than that. So over 2,687 days have passed since the Switch released. And now it's officially beating the previous longest lasting Nintendo console, the Famicom. And note, this is specifically for consoles and not handhelds, as the Game Boy, man, the streak was insane. 4,352 days before the Game Boy Advance. Of course, there was different models, the Game Boy Color, but before a true successor, 4,352 days. So Switch would have quite a ways to go to be in the handheld space. But being that it's a hybrid, 2,687 plus days since the last console. And yeah, it still seems to be doing better than ever. This is something we talked about 2 episodes ago when we had the Nintendo Direct, that they are still going strong with numerous titles, but it is odd. I remember an era when a console generation was 5 years, and now it just seems like we hold on to our hardware much, much longer. And Micah, you're holding on to your OG Switch. It's hanging on by a thread. But what do you think about this for 2,687 more, or not more days, but it's been that much and more since then?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my first thought is that song from Rent where they sing out how many minutes are in a year. And I never remember how the sequence goes because I've never actually seen it. I'm familiar with it. But that's the first thing I thought of. No, when you put it in perspective like that, it does seem crazy that I've had my original Switch, still playing it a lot. All right. Still spending a lot of time on this system for over 2,600 days. I mean, not that I play it every single day. I think I'd have a problem. But most of them, many of them, it does show for how underpowered the Switch can seem compared to other consoles. It is very impressive that we are still getting new games on it, that we're still seeing them do different things with it at this stage of the life cycle. Are we getting, a fair number of ports of older games? We are. Do they seem justified because they actually do look better and play better? In my opinion, yeah. We'll get into it later, but like I'm playing Pikmin 1 right now, the port for that, and I'm having a great time with it. So while this end stage for Switch, we are seeing a lot of older games being brought forward to it. Maybe we're not seeing the latest and greatest titles right now, but the Switch is definitely still kicking, still showing many signs of life, as the song in Persona 4 goes. So I'm still, I think they didn't make a mistake in any way by not releasing Switch 2 sooner. I think they're still just like getting all that they can out of Switch right now. And when the next system comes out, people are going to be clamoring for it. For everyone who has like, okay, maybe they're still newer to Switch and they're like, oh, I'm not ready to upgrade yet. There's those of us who have been here since day one. There's so many of us that are just absolutely going crazy for whatever this next console is going to be. They really have played the long game here, and they're still giving us something in what we hope is the final year of the Switch. They're still giving us games to play. They're still keeping us entertained. So, but that perspective of 2,600 days, like that's just, I don't know, man. It just seems really crazy.
Gene, you are, as we bring up nearly every episode, you have more Switches than probably almost anybody at this point. I'm sure there's someone who has every Switch ever released, but you have quite a few. And it's been a long time. Do you feel like Nintendo's taken it too far, or is that just something for us hardcore people that want new stuff constantly?
I think you're right. I think it is part of like, us just wanting new stuff all the time. But I do think the Switch is kind of getting to a point where it's like, okay, well, when's the next one, right? When I'm starting to feel that way, then maybe like the general populace would be like a year or two away from that feeling of that. But I think we're getting close, and I think Nintendo knows that too, which is why they're kind of stretching things out. But they also know that they can stretch things out no problem. Um, you know, it's been enough time. I hate to say it, but I'm actually considering buying that Nintendo Switch Lite Hyrule Edition. The only reason, it's not because I want it or even want to play it. The only reason why is I will keep it unboxed or boxed and unwrapped. Because the Zelda edition of Nintendo consoles usually end up becoming massive, massive collector's items, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that said, I never actually sell this shit, so maybe I just won't buy it. But yeah, I'm trying to be a collector, but I'm really not. I just wanted to buy the Nintendo Switches that I wanted, which is the Monster Hunter one, and then I got it. Well, the first Switch Lite I got for free from Nintendo, so I actually technically never bought six Nintendo Switches. I only bought four because they sent me one OLED, right?
Right.
And they sent me one light. So I bought one OLED for myself, which is a Zelda, and I bought another light for myself, which is the purple one, right? So that's four switches, and then I got the OG Switch, and then so that's why I have six switches, man. It's not that big of a deal. Like I've only bought four of them, and one is OLED, one is light, just for the extra ones that I was given, right? So I'm even ethically like in line. Like I'm buying the products that are being given to me. Still, I'm just buying a different version of it. So.
Gene's getting very defensive, saying it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to own six Switches. He's like, I didn't do anything. Like Gene's is getting very defensive right now when it's brought up how many Switches are in his house right now.
I'm not usually defensive. I'm actually usually proud of it, right? But I'm realizing, I actually haven't bought like six of them. Like I'm not like throwing my money away just buying the same fucking console over and over again. But I am buying them because they were given to me, and I just want like a different version. So I did get the Zelda OLED version, so that's why, like, you know what, I'm not gonna get a Switch Lite. I already have the Zelda OLED edition, right?
Yeah.
So
let's go ahead and this seems like a perfect opportunity to bring Christian into the show, who says, hi, Punching Up crew. September, along with the release of The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, there will also be a special edition Switch Lite releasing. I've always had much respect for the Switch Lite. However, I've never really found its purpose since the original Switch is just perfect for the most part. What are your overall thoughts on the Switch Lite? Cheers. So, Gene, you say you're going to resist, hopefully, the Echoes of Wisdom Switch Lite, but you do own a Switch Lite. What do you think about it? Because it is kind of, now that the OLED's out and we're thinking about the next Switch, the Switch Lite is kind of quietly trucking along in the background. It feels, I don't want to say it's the forgotten Switch, but it is the one that seems to be in the background most of the time now. What are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's kind of like the funny thing though is that it acts as the Xbox Series S for the Nintendo Switch, except that it's not quote unquote holding development back. It's just the same console, right? So there's parity between that, and there's a price difference, So I do think that the Lite, even though it isn't like the marquee product for the Switch, right? It's still an option, and I think it's a huge contributor to why it's doing so well in Japan. They're just so cute. So I don't know, and they're still coming out with Echoes of Wisdom. I'm just disappointed that they never come out with a light OLED. That would have been that would be a day one purchase, 1,000%. I would just buy that one, like no problem. I'll have a seven Switch easily.
Yeah, I mean, Holly and I guess collectively own a Switch Lite. It's Holly's go-to Switch. It's one of the three Switches because I have my original launch one, I have the OLED, and then Holly has the Lite. I think it's awesome. I actually love it the times that I've used it and interacted with it. To the point that when I bought it for Holly, I thought, ooh, I like the form factor. This is kind of nice, kind of cute, kind of want one. Until I looked online and Nintendo makes it so hard for someone to use two Switches at the same time. Not at the same time, literally, but just like, oh, this is my at home. I'm just going to leave this one docked. This was before the OLED. So my thought was my old Switch become docked and then I would use the light on the go. But using, like I said, using your account in multiple Switches is insane. It's so stupid. It's not like other systems that have that, like it's not like your Steam Deck. That's what I wanted it to be like. It's like, okay, I have my PC at home, my Steam Deck, it has all these cloud saves, and I can just access my games. No, Nintendo doesn't make it that easy. But I didn't need one anyway, so it's okay. But Holly loves hers, and you're right, Gene. A OLED Switch Lite would have been 10 out of 10, but does not exist. Micah, I'm surprised because you're not. I guess you kind of are the ideal Switch user that goes in between. You're not exclusively handheld, right?
Yeah, because I had considered getting a Switch Lite before, mostly because they had the yellow one, yellow being one of my favorite colors. And if you saw my office, which is just decked out in yellow, just various things. So I was really like, oh man, I want that. But a couple things are like, yes, Dustin, as you mentioned, switching between two different systems. Okay, for example, I have two Xboxes. I have one upstairs, one downstairs. It is easy as pie to turn on the TV, log into the other Xbox, my cloud saves just boop right over, done. Don't even have to think about it. I just play the game at whatever console I'm on. Easy, okay? PlayStation, same deal. As long as you're signed up for the PlayStation Plus or whatever, like it's really easy to just play the games simultaneously between the two different consoles, switching back and forth. Nintendo's just not that easy. So I play docked often enough that getting a Switch Lite on the side was just not really worth it to me. I'm probably playing handheld like 75% of the time. But I do, for example, when Colin is, recording something like Sacred Symbols, a 3 or 4 hour show, that's what often when I'm using the TV. So I am playing it on the TV then. So while the Switch Lite did appeal to me at first, it definitely wasn't in the end something I needed or something that would really like enhance my playtime, aside from the fact that I just thought the color was really cool. I also was curious about things like, did they fix the stick drift issue? Because the Switch Lite, you can't pop off those controllers and send them in for repair if you get like the stick drift on a Switch Lite. Like it's all one unit. The Joy-Cons don't come off. My sister did buy one, and she's very happy with it that she got that as her own little Switch because the kids already have one that, the docked version. And she loves it. It's perfect for her because she never gets a turn with the TV, basically. So it's the only way she's going to play. But yeah, it's something that I'm glad they have. I think that's a great price point and an option for people, especially for families who already have a Switch and maybe feel like we don't need a second dock, but we do want another one of these. I'm happy it exists. I think it's a really great option, but it didn't really have a space in my collection or in the way that I play things. If they did, though, do an OLED version of it and it was like a step down in price, I probably would have jumped on that for sure because, as you all know, I debated heavily about the OLED version of the Switch, never actually got one, but that might have been what made me pull the trigger and actually get it.
But yeah, Switch Lite, Holly loves hers. It's a good option, a good, cheaper option if you don't care about dock play. But
yeah, they could just knock it down to $99. Boom, more millions of units sold. I would buy another one for $99, another color.
You're like,
for that cheap, yeah.
Gene's like, no, I have four Switches, or was it 6 Switches?
I've only bought 4,
but I've only purchased 4. But if you drop the price to $99, sign me up, baby. I'll buy 3 of those.
Gene, instead of that 7th Dragon series, it'd be 7th Switch and be like 7th Switch 3 code OLED. The Gene Park Adventure.
Yeah.
Guys, let's get into what we've been playing. I want to start off with our friend James Solar. James Solar, nice guy. At some point, I don't remember why, he showed up in my Twitch chat a lot. He seemed very trustworthy, and he asked for my address, and I thought, you know what? Fuck it. If something bad happens, so be it. Which now apparently bad things happen in Butler. But he sends me a Christmas card every year, James Solar. So very nice lad. But he wrote in with what an interesting way to kick off what we've been playing. He says, "Hey squad, I've been giving some of y'all a hard time for not playing Luigi's Mansion 2 in previous weeks, and I'm here to ask forgiveness. I'm a huge fan of the first game, but I played the second game and it sucks. What are some sequels that completely dropped the ball in your eyes?" Well, we'll maybe talk about that, but I want to talk about Luigi's Mansion 2 because unfortunately, last episode, none of us were playing it, and it was Nintendo's big latest release. I got to play the first one first. Not there yet. But Gene, you are playing both Luigi's Mansion 1 and you're playing Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So, what are your thoughts? And do you have a bone to pick with James about this? How are you feeling?
Yes, sir. I wish James said why he thought it sucks. I can guess why he thinks it sucks. And the you guys haven't played Luigi's Mansion 2, right? And you guys aren't familiar with
No.
the setup, right? It's a 3DS game. The community generally don't like the way this game is segmented into a mission structure. So Luigi's Mansion is one mansion, right? Luigi's Mansion 2 is 5 mansions. I love that shit. I love the fact that there are 5 mansions, 5 unique mansions with their own vibe and themes and their own like design setup and everything like that. I love that. I like it better than Luigi's Mansion 3, even though I think Luigi's Mansion 3 is a better game. I like the fact that they were restricted to making level designs within one house versus Luigi's Mansion 3. It was cool that you have 15 floors and each of the 15 floors are themed in a certain way, but each floor can just be whatever the fuck, right? Which is cool and that allows for a lot of creativity. But I like restricted level design. If you guys know about what I've been saying in the Elden Ring spoiler cast, go check that out if you guys haven't. But I say that I like the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree world design better than Elden Ring, because Elden Ring regular is like open world where you're just kind of running around. Whereas in Shadow of the Erdtree, they actually made different levels and mix and made it fit together in a way that I think is just a little more interesting and more intentional. So that's how I feel. That's where I land on the Luigi's Mansion level design philosophy. That I like that they have to restrict certain concepts within a house versus here's a hotel and anything can happen, which is so much fun too. And I'm actually glad that they did both approaches. But I think that's why a lot of people are put off by Luigi's Mansion 2, because when you go into one house, for example, the first house, right? Oh my God, Luigi, this is the house. This is the first mansion. Go find the key. And then you find the key, and then the level ends. And then you're pulled back out into the Professor EGAD level hub, and it ranks you. It tells you how it's very much like Devil May Cry, like how much damage you took, how much like souls or experience you collected, money you collected, basically how fast you did it, and basically how much you uncovered, right? And then you're split back into the same mansion, and then it's the same mansion. Everything is reset again, so you have to kind of explore the mansion again. There's a lot of backtracking and everything like that. So I think that's why. James, let me know if I'm wrong, but I think that's why you might think that it sucks compared to Luigi's Mansion 1. But again, I think I already explained. I think I like the five mansion restriction. So that's where I land.
I would like to play these. I've said this like every week. I think that I was like, I want to play these. I have one on GameCube, and they're not very long, Gene. Right? Like I could play one in what? Is it like 6 to 8 hours? You think, Gene? Is it not very long?
Yeah, it's about 6 to 8 hours. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel like that would be a fun little, an easy playthrough. But I'm surprised that they haven't put one on Switch. But I guess one has already been remade before 3DS, and maybe
on the 3DS. So that's the one I'm playing too. I actually picked it up on physical because you can't buy shit on the eShop anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I was able to find it pretty cheap on physical. It's still $30, right? Whatever. And that's what I've been playing now. So it's interesting. It's harder on the 3DS well, there is a C stick that you can use, right? The little clitoris nub on the 3DS.
Oh yeah, the little clit.
That's what it is. And
See, we used to call it the nipple.
The nipple,
we
yeah.
We didn't call it that.
Yeah, you can, but you can flick. You flick the bean though, right? So. So the controls are a little tough, but it's cool though. I kind of like. I think you should just probably play it on GameCube though, because the GameCube graphics are better. They're a little bit more unique. The 3DS version makes it look like Luigi's Mansion 2, whereas like Luigi's Mansion 1, like there's fucking nothing like that looks like that game. So honestly, Luigi's Mansion 3 kind of looks like Luigi's Mansion 1 in a bit too. You know, it's a lot darker, really good lighting. But Luigi's Mansion 1, the best thing about Luigi's Mansion 1 is that it has really unique ghosts. Another thing that James probably thinks Luigi's Mansion 2 sucks. The ghost variety. It sucks. There are a lot of like ghost types, so the ghost variety is good. There's a lot of ghost variety, but there are a lot of repeating types of ghosts. Here's a skinny ghost that has this type of move, and here's like the big birdie ghost. He's like so strong, and you know he's blocking your light attacks. You know, whereas in Luigi's Mansion 1, here is a ghost whose husband died or whatever, or here is a ghost painter, and then there's like a whole like backstory to each of these ghosts that all have like unique characteristics about their lives when they were fucking alive. You know. So it's interesting. Whereas in these ghosts, these are just ghosts. These are just Mario enemies, ghosts. There's a ghost. We don't know who they were in a past life. Who gives a shit? Suck them up, you know. So there's that. Luigi's Mansion 2 loses all of that personality. There's like one mini boss fight where against like 3 sister ghosts, and that is a little unique, but that's kind of it. Now there are boss battles in Luigi's Mansion 2, and they're actually some of them are pretty sick. The first boss battle in Luigi's Mansion 2 is a fight against a spider, and it's a lot like the Demon Souls armored spider fight. Actually, like down a long hallway and everything, you know. And you gotta like avoid the attacks like down this hallway, and you can tell that this is very designed for the 3DS and like the virtual 3D graphics because the spiders are coming at the screen. You know, I remember experiencing that on a 3DS too, because I did play Dark Moon on the 3DS first. But what was I saying? Yeah, the boss fights are cool, but no unique ghosts, you know. And in Luigi's Mansion 1, you're always like engaging with unique ghosts every once in a while, whereas in Luigi's Mansion 2, like you just don't. Now in Luigi's Mansion 3, they bring the unique ghosts back. So there is a mixture of like the regular villain enemy type ghosts. Here's a strong ghost, here's a skinny ghost, here's the goon ghost, right? And then there are mini bosses and bosses that of ghosts with like a vast history. Here's a fucking ghost of a movie director, you know, who's very much inspired by Steven Spielberg. And you can just leave him alone. You can just let him finish the movie in Luigi Mansion 3. But if you want the achievement, you got to suck him up too.
I was gonna say,
but you can't just leave him alone and just let him just like keep filming the movie. It's so there's like so much story in Luigi's Mansion 3. So all of these games are just incredible. But I like I said in Summon Sign, I think if you are new to the series and you don't have access to Luigi's Mansion 1 like Dustin does, then I would recommend 3 first before 2. I like 2 the most, but I do think 3 is probably the best entry point for somebody. Because it is fun, and there are a lot, like the hotel aspect is unique, and it is interesting. And I don't like if you prefer that. I don't think you're wrong. You know, I think both methods are cool. I think it's so weird that Luigi's Mansion is such a unique trilogy in that each game has their own flavor, like Dark Souls, even more so than Dark Souls. You know, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 have more in common than they do Luigi's Mansion 1, 2, and 3. To be quite honest, you know. But that's the beauty of Nintendo, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the beauty of Nintendo, they've kind of made the top tier sucking mechanic in gaming. Because Microsoft tried with Blinks, the Time Sweeper. The people said, no, we don't need a cat sucking. We need Luigi sucking. And he's the best sucker there is. I mean, can you argue with this? Certainly not. He sucks so good. They made 3 games. What has Blinks got? Nothing.
Yeah. And a 24 million, 25 million selling trilogy too. So it's up there, you know.
The adults love the sucking and the kids do too. Really. Micah, what are you playing right now?
Yeah, I do want to answer because I did have a prepared answer for James' question about sequels that were bad. So only because I wrote it down. First one I'm going to say, The Cruel King and the Great Hero was a very poor follow-up to The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince, which was a really inventive little platformer, storybook style. The Cruel King and the Great Hero was one of my most anticipated games when it came out. I bought the collector's edition, and they tried to make a turn-based little RPG. It's just not good. It clearly just isn't their forte to work in that style. It was very boring. It was a rare game that I didn't even finish, and I was so excited for it. So that was the first one. The second one was Fallen Legion Revenants. Was just awful compared to the first 2 games. I count it as a sequel because the first 2 games, Fallen Legion Sins of an Empire and Fallen Legion Flames of Rebellion, they're technically 2 sides of the same story. So they go together, which is why I consider Revenants to be the true sequel. And you can get the double pack. Fallen Legion Rise to Glory is both games combined. And I highly recommend that. It's on Switch, it's on PlayStation. But Fallen Legion Revenants was just bad. Just bad. Reused way too many things from the original game that it didn't feel. The parts of it that were supposed to feel new didn't feel new at all. The things that they did add in were just bad. The sad thing was the best parts of the games were the things they reused from the first title. So the music and the assets that they reused were actually the best part of Fallen Legion Revenants. All the new stuff that they attempted just fell flat. So that was my answer to James's question. What I've been playing. So I am finally getting around to the Pikmin 1 and 2 pack on Switch. So I had waited last year until they were out on cartridge to actually buy those. And so I have the physical copy. And so, because I finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2, hooray, it's fucking done. I considered getting the DLC because you can get, and I'm just done with it. I'm just done with it. I can't do it anymore. It was good. I'm glad it's over. Mazel tov.
Did you like the ending?
No,
No,
no, not really. It was fine, really? I guess. I don't know, Gene. Did it feel like it was worth 63 hours of my time to get that ending? I'm not sure. That's what I'm torn about, right? It was fine. You don't like Klaus? The first game really got me, all the way through even through okay, I started to get a little burnt out on grinding through levels, but the first game, that story had me. This one got so in the weeds with stuff. I tried to read a synopsis of the story to understand something that I kind of wasn't wrapping my head around. Even that was so long that I was like, I just can't do this. So
you didn't like the?
No, he was fine.
Do I need to spoiler mark this, Gene?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually,
no,
yes. I should just bleep it.
Yeah, just bleep.
Yeah, bleep his name.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it's not even that.
Actually, yeah,
Gene.
saying that name would be a huge spoiler for part 2, especially if you play part 1. So.
Yeah, it just was that I just was so sick of it by the end, and then the actual ending, I was just like, no, I don't like this one bit. I wasn't pleased with it, but
wow.
So now I'm playing.
Okay, that's different because everyone struggles with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at the beginning, but once you get to the end, that's when it wins people over. So that's different. Okay.
I think there's just too many moving parts in a certain way as well. It's all right, we got the church guy, we got all these dudes. It was just they all had such deep backstories, and I was just I'm supposed to remember all of this and keep it straight as to what their motivations are. It was just too much. It was just too much. But now I'm playing shorter games. So Pikmin 1, pretty short. This is a game that's meant to be replayed, obviously, because even having played Pikmin games before, just kind of getting into this one, the physics are different. The Pikmin behave differently. Even as a what you might call experienced Pikmin player, I struggled a bit with Pikmin 1 to kind of figure out how to best utilize the Pikmin. They are not nearly as smart in this version as they are in the other ones. So it's little things like I'm trying to walk across a bridge, and if I get too far ahead of them, they'll all just go around the bridge and die in the water versus following me across it. And things like that just devastate your Pikmin population. And you get to a point where you can't recover. The game is timed. You only have 30 in-game days to try and, complete the mission. So I ended up having to restart because I was just like, I had far too few Pikmin to actually, proceed at this point, right? But it's meant for that. You can tell that you're meant to explore the first time around. And then in the second playthrough, now I'm so much more efficient. I know where things are, and I should be able to complete it this time without any issue. I have heard from our community that Pikmin 2 is more difficult, so I'm looking forward to that. But Pikmin 1, so far, excellent. Really enjoying it. I'm also playing Enchanted Arms, which I had an Xbox 360 copy. I'm playing it on my Xbox Series X, and I'm a few hours in. I like it a lot so far. This is my first FromSoft game, funnily enough. And it's a unique story. I'm only a couple hours in, but these, university students at this like special academy for, essentially wielding magic in the game. They're like, it's not magic, but they call it enchanting. So to anyone else, they're essentially magic wielders of a certain variety. And you have to save the world after this evil creature is unleashed upon it. And so it's very inventive so far. Turn-based, grid-based combat. I love that shit. It's only supposed to be 25 hours. As soon as I started it, people were like, I thought you said no more, RPGs. And I was like, but this one's only 25 hours according to how long to beat. Okay? Like, it's not that long of a game, hopefully. The voice acting is pretty over the top, but it's funny. I wouldn't say it's good, but it's funny. So I'm enjoying that a lot. I'm going to get back into that heavily this weekend. Pikmin totally stole the show once I started that. But Enchanted Arms is, to me at least, a hidden gem that I missed out on. We'll see if I still have such, rosy feelings about it the more that I play it. But I really like the combat so far, and the story has got enough that it's got its hooks in me. Despite the voice acting being a bit corny, a bit cheesy, the story that they're telling definitely has my attention. So this is one that had been in the backlog for a long time, and I'm glad I've finally gotten to it.
I was going to say, Enchanted Arms, this is like a mythical level pull here. Because I feel like I kind of remember seeing this game at some point, but this is like a low-key... I'm looking at the Metacritic, or on Wikipedia it has a Metacritic 69 on Xbox 360 and 64 on PS3. So, but it sounds like, gamer critics don't know shit, Gene. They don't know everything. They say Eco's great and it's not. These things happen. So maybe the critics were wrong about this one. But
I mean, they could be. We'll let the eco thing slide.
You talked enough shit on Summon Sign, you can let it slide.
For civility's sake, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and part of why I chose this, because I was going through the backlog, and I just was like, I want to play something relatively current and play something old, is kind of how I'm alternating between things. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was the relatively current game that I played, and then I said, we're going to go play something old. I had picked out Eternal Sonata and Enchanted Arms, but I didn't realize that Eternal Sonata is not backwards compatible. I would need a 360 to actually play it, or I would need a PS3 copy to play, on our PlayStation, but I don't have a 360 anymore. Then I considered trading in my Series S and getting or my 1S. And I was like, okay, maybe I trade that into GameStop, get some credit, then I buy a 360 with it. But it's the only game on 360 that I have right now that's not backwards compatible. So that felt a little crazy. So Xbox, I need you to sort that out. I really need you to get Eternal Sonata ported over, because you just can't buy it digitally on any console right now. You can't get it on PlayStation. You can't get it on Xbox. The only way to play it is to have it 360 or PS3. And, Xbox, I just need you to figure that out, because I bought this game like 10 years ago and now I'd finally like to play it. So yeah, please somebody work on that. Get the backwards compatibility program back up and running because we clearly have more titles to get through.
Yeah. The thing about the reviews for this game, and I never played this too, so I couldn't tell you like whether the reviews are right or wrong. But it came out at a time when everybody, all the game journalists didn't like, were kind of racist towards JRPGs. Like, oh, look at this weird RPG. Skyrim, Oblivion is where it's at, guys. Mass Effect. That's the era of this time. So you can't really trust what the reviews of that era says, especially with Japanese games. So
yeah.
Yeah, I sat next to one of them, the people who said that during my Final Fantasy 16 demo, and I was so tempted to be like, yeah, you press like R1 to like dodge, and like you can switch to everything. Like I was so tempted to like just like teach this guy how to play a video game that's made in Japan. Because like the way these fucking people talked about Japanese games is so weird.
It is odd. As for me, I've been keeping it light on games since Shadow of the Erdtree. I went super hard on that. And so it's been kind of nice. It's not like I'm taking a gaming break. I'm just not, there's nothing I'm playing right now that's like, oh, this is the game I'm playing. Been watching One Piece, and right now, a lot more stuff around the house just because Holly, it's getting increasingly difficult for her to do anything. Because she has a giant baby inside of her that prohibits her from doing a lot of things. So, I'm doing some more things around the house. But the game that I have been putting some time in is Mario Golf Advance Tour, of course, for the Game Boy Advance. I picked this up at my local game store, which, teaser, we're having my local game store owner on Sacred Symbols Plus. It's already recorded. That'll be out Saturday. So listen to that when the time comes. But I picked that up there because I was feeling every once in a while, the game that got me into golf video games was Everybody's Golf on PlayStation 4. Fantastic game. I was never really into Hot Shots Golf or anything like that. Not that I
was huge. I was huge into Hot Shots Golf. Fucking love that series.
Yeah. It's not that I played them and disliked them. I just never experience them. And so when Everybody's Golf came out, I was like, dude, this rules. I love this. So for years since then, I've been trying out other newer and older golf games. And I thought, why not try out Mario Golf Advance Tour? And so it's made by Camelot, which they made Golden Sun. And so the campaign of this is a golf RPG where you're going around doing challenges and, of course, competing in tournaments, but upgrading your character's stats, things like that. So it's a pretty neat little game. I will say that of all the golf games I've played since Everybody's Golf, none of them feel as good as Everybody's Golf. That feels like the arcade golf peak to me. But I don't know. What was the recent Mario Golf game? What was it called? The one that's on Switch.
Oh.
Because I bought it and I played it a decent amount, but Mario Golf Switch. This is important. What the fuck was that? Super Rush.
Because all I know is if it's not Kirby's Dream Course, I don't want it.
You don't want it?
Yeah, I'm sick. I'm sick of this Mario getting top billing and everything. Give Kirby back his golf game. We need it back.
Certainly. Yeah. So yeah, that was Mario Golf Super Rush on Switch. Wasn't really into that either. But yeah, I've just been playing that either on my Game Boy Micro or on my Analog Pocket. And dude, the Analog Pocket, Gene, you need to get one of these. I think you would enjoy it. Don't buy another Switch. You don't need that. I'm just going to keep hitting Gene with the Switch stuff now that they're a little defensive about it. You don't need your 7th Switch. You can get an Analog Pocket. Though, I don't know if you saw this. Gene, they just released a new one. I think it was yesterday or today. That's aluminum. So it's more expensive. It's $500.
That's a lot. Wow.
Oh.
Which is,
here's the thing about the Analog Pocket. I don't like the form factor. I've actually, I know people make fun of Colin for always saying this, but I feel like I've outgrown like the Game Boy like form factor,
Right.
I would rather hack my 3DS basically.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'd be a
Yeah.
good move too.
Yeah, I might just buy. Yeah, I might just buy like a 2DS and just hack that. Just fuck around with that for a bit.
I've been thinking that I don't know why. I I don't know if this is like a masculine urge or if this is just a human urge of people that like buying stuff, but I've seen a bunch of 3DS hacking videos come up. I have a new 3DS. It's fantastic. But for some reason I keep seeing that Galaxy new 3DS. I'm like, kind of want that. Why? No reason. No 3DS games that I want to play right now. It would be fun to hack it, of course, but
Yeah,
I don't need it. But I'm like, might be kind of nice. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to resist for now. I
yeah.
spent $300 on a baby monitor. I'm good.
Yeah, you got other priorities in life. And that's the thing about the 3DS. Like I'm playing the 3DS now, obviously with Luigi's Mansion 1, right? And I'm like, yeah, I got the 3DS was cool, right? And so I was like, maybe I did miss out on the eShop. And I look up other games that I might miss. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I didn't really miss out on that much. There's not a ton. I got all the games, Kirby Planet Robobot, which is an awesome, mech based Kirby game. I got Kid Icarus. I got Metroid Samus Returns. So I feel like I got all the unique 3DS games, out there. And Luigi's Mansion 1 was the last one, I think. I got that. I even got Street Fighter 4 on the 3DS.
Whoa.
It has a unique angle where it's kind of like a third person perspective, actually.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, really weird, but I played that way because I'm not playing Street Fighter 4 seriously on the 3DS. So
yeah, fair enough.
And there's enough, as we highlighted last time with the games I recently bought on 3DS, there's enough of them that are still relatively affordable. Like I just got Kirby Triple Deluxe, which is like one of my favorite Kirby games. These games are in the $30-ish range. Same with Fire Emblem Fates. I picked that up for around $32, $33 or something. So these games, a lot of 3DS titles are still available physical, and they are not like prohibitively expensive yet. If you wanted to start collecting for 3DS, I'd say like get on that soon.
I would say get on it now.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to do too. Yeah, exactly. That's what I found out when I bought Luigi's Mansion for $30. I was like, that's cool. I expected this to be a lot more expensive, especially a Nintendo product and a re-release of Luigi's Mansion 1, but yeah, just $30 on Amazon. So, I might get Kid Icarus on cartridge. I don't have that physically, so that might be cool.
I want to say that's an expensive one now.
It probably is.
Icarus.
It is the last Sakurai game besides Smash, right? So
CIB $60.
That's not bad.
Could be a lot worse. A lot worse.
The Dragon Quest ones, Dragon Quest 5 is especially expensive. So that's the bummer. That's the only one I really want, but then they're all like $300 to $500. So
yeah, insane.
That was actually after I said, okay, no more long games. I'm going to play something short. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll start Dragon Quest 8 on 3DS. And Colin's like, that is not a short game at all. I was like, I know, but I'm like, Chappelle, itching. I'm like, but I want to play it. I need my JRPGs. I need them. I can't stop myself.
I forgot. Did you play 11?
Burnt out I feel.
Have you played 11?
No, I've never played a Dragon Quest game ever. So
I think you would like 11.
I think I'd like all of them. I just am trying to not play something so long right now. But the
problem is
itch.
Yeah, the problem is 11 is about as long or probably longer than Xenoblade Chronicles.
Exactly. No, I remember Colin playing that, seeing like his playtime on it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a Witcher 3 playthrough, like 100 hours or something. Like Persona 5 took me about 100 hours. Like I know what must be done. I just don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Dragon Quest 11 is easily over 100 hours. So long. So good, but so long. So yeah, if you're not in the mood for anything long, especially after Xenoblade Chronicles, because Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was long. Like, sorry if I sounded like I sounded disappointed that you didn't like the game. It is long. There is a lot going on, and there's enough shit there where it's like I can totally see someone just getting tired of it and just wanting to move.
Oh yeah, like I did like it. I probably sound a little harsh right now because I'm fresh off the game, but I will say I liked it. I liked the combat once I got the hang of it. The game has some issues, but I did like it. It's just one of those games where the story kind of fell apart for me 3/4 of the way in. And it just was like, I'm playing this because I want to see the ending, but not because I'm super motivated to get there. Like I was playing it because I just wanted to know what was going to happen. But I wasn't feeling, I didn't have the urgency of we got to save the world that I feel in some other games. It was more so like, I just kind of want to know how this all wraps up. I want to know what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
I felt a bit
get you.
defeated by
And
the
there was a lot
end.
of drama with like Pyra and Mithra, and if you don't really like those characters, then nothing about the ending is really going to work that well. So
Yeah, I liked them fine, but it did. I totally agree with that. They were supposed to add a whole other layer of drama to it, and instead I just kind of was like, I don't
yeah.
really care about
I'm with
you.
you. I liked everything around that, but like everything to do with the characters itself, I was just like, I can take it or leave it. So I'm totally with you. Everything
Yeah, the
around,
world.
everything around the lore and the world, I absolutely loved
Yes.
more than the actual like happenings of the characters and the parties and everything like that. So I totally get you. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the first game had both things. Sorry to go on a Xenoblade tangent, but the first
No,
game
no.
had both. The world was extremely
Yes.
unique.
Yes.
The enemies were really unique.
Mm-hmm.
The story from the jump was
Yes.
very heartfelt.
Yes.
Like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, no spoilers, but early on in the game, like they really hit you with some emotional shit. They do that in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and then they walk it back essentially. Like you're hit with something like really heart-wrenching, and then they're kind of like, they do that a lot in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's kind of, I don't mean this in a bad way. It's like the Marvel version of it where each kind of dramatic moment is subverted by a joke. So, Tora, the cute little hamster guy, is going to make a joke after something really important and sad happens, and he's going to make a little one-liner. And it's like, you're kind of sending me mixed signals here, whereas the first game was dramatic and sad and like really impactful. And the second game had those moments, and then they undermined every single one of them with like a little joke.
You're not wrong.
And so it just didn't work for me the same way of them trying to keep it light the whole way through. But a 60-hour game, I don't want it to be light the whole way through. I need motivation to see this all the way to the ending. And they kind of just kept undoing it.
Yeah, you're right that in part 2 especially, you can feel the tension where they really wanted this to be like an anime, like it's like series where it's like, oh, it's colorful, and look at all these goofy characters, and like it's so comedic, right? And then, but there's also all the serious stuff, and it's like I don't think they really struck that balance all that well.
No.
Once you're ready for 3, because you haven't played 3, right? You've been working your way towards 3,
I'm
right?
gonna get there, yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll like 3 so much better because it really is like a mirror of 1 in terms of like, oh, this is really, really serious motivation, strong like motivation to go ahead and fight this enemy and figure things out, And 2, they're like, oh, we got to go to the world tree, and that's just kind of the journey, right? And you're learning the politics and everything, and all of the hinges on the characters that you're going along with. Whereas in 3 is like, oh, this is the story. Like 1, it's like, oh, you have a mission, right?
Yeah,
and you got to finish
absolutely.
that mission, right? 3 has that mission too. 2 is like, so yeah, I'm with you. Sorry, Dustin.
And I've heard good things about Torna, the Golden Country DLC, and people saying, oh, it's only 20 hours and it's a much more streamlined experience and it's really good, but I don't know if I have 20 more hours to give to that world.
You know what, Mike?
I don't know.
I've heard like all the same things and I've been wanting to play Torna, but I was exactly with you. By the time I finished 2, I was like, you know what? I think I'm good. It might take some time before I visit Torna, and I still have it. So
well, and the physical copy right now is like $41 on Amazon versus it's still $39.99 on the eShop. So I'm like, for $2 more I could get the physical copy, but I just don't know. I just don't know if I'm going to play it or not.
I got the physical.
I kind of want to buy it.
I got the physical copy just in case, but yeah, that's cool.
I should just buy it.
Yeah, it's cool that it's still that cheap. That's awesome. So.
When you said they're going to the world tree, I thought you said world trade for a second. I was like, whoa, what are they doing there? What's going on in Xenoblade?
That's the whole mission. Get him to the World Trade Center before something bad happens.
Remember the rumors that Black Ops 6 was going to be about 9/11?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
I kind of wish that they were true.
That would have been something.
I don't know, but yeah, political violence in video games is going to be an interesting topic moving forward from here.
Yeah,
at least for the next few years.
Oh yeah, imagine like imagine 20 years from now, it's Call of Duty Black Ops 30, and it is though it's like the Trump assassination attempt. You know, and it's for kids then who weren't even alive when it happened. It's gonna be like fucking crazy.
Yeah,
It'll
and
it'll be like me playing the Vietnam War, you know, stories that are in the other games. It's
yeah,
like,
or
oh,
World War II or something like that. But
exactly.
Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, fucking 27, and then you get to play as a shooter, you know. And then
Yeah,
you probably
you're
die because Call of Duty is going to keep doing that same trick of like just dying, putting you into a character and they die. Ooh, isn't that crazy? You're dead now. You know.
the game starts. You're at the fairgrounds in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the guy says, "Remember, no Pop Tarts." And then the mission starts.
No Pop-Tarts.
As you're passing by the goats, man.
Goats, yep.
Yeah.
The pigs.
You see Dustin just chowing on it.
Going, dude, yeah. See me. I have it's during the long hair phase though that I've got the
that's why I'm really glad that you cut your hair too.
Yeah.
That fucking guy, I don't know why that fucking Twitter troll that pretended to be the shooter. I don't know why would you do that, like even as a troll. Like you're such a fucking idiot, dude. Like it wasn't that funny, you know.
No,
it wasn't funny. So what? I don't know.
I don't know. Some people not thinking, but
Not thinking. Yeah, that was a shit post that you really didn't think through. That's for sure.
Yeah, now you're on a list or worse.
Yeah, and then he did that like you got the wrong guy. I was like, this video is not even funny. Like you know, like you're not even like being comedic or anything about this. You didn't troll anybody. You just made yourself look like a fucking shithead. You know?
Yeah. All right, let's get into 2 ending questions for this show, starting with Sean Shanarud, who says, Punchers, please tell me where the hell Mario Galaxy 2 Switchboard is. Is Nintendo holding it back for a future Mario anniversary, or just not doing it out of spite? This is something that's persisted for a while since that Mario collection came out. Did not have Mario Galaxy 2 in it, which many people consider a superior release. Now it got me thinking, I'm like, is it possible that on the next anniversary they could do it again? But I kind of don't think so. I think the ship is sailed on this. I never really cared about Mario Galaxy 2 as much as 1 when it came out, but I also never fully played it, so I feel like I really shouldn't speak on it until I know if I actually think it's better. But Gene, what do you think about, like, does Nintendo not care about Mario Galaxy 2? Why wasn't it included in that collection?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I'm trying to think whether there was anything unique about Mario Galaxy 2 that would just make it like harder, you know, to port over. But I don't think so. If you can port over Mario Galaxy 1, then Mario Galaxy 2 should have been it. So maybe how well did it sell? It should have sold pretty good though, right? Let me check.
Yeah, Mario Galaxy 2, 7 million copies were sold worldwide.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's not bad. You know, the Mario Galaxy series itself didn't sell like crazy, not like Mario Odyssey did, right, for the Switch. So I don't know. I'm surprised that they haven't done that. You know, I don't agree that Galaxy 2 is better than 1, although I absolutely think that there are like several different levels in Galaxy 2 that are a lot better than Galaxy 1. So I totally get that perspective, and I think it's arguable too. Especially since Mario Galaxy 2 has Yoshi, right?
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and Mario Galaxy 2. These are some of the weird outliers of Nintendo Switch ports that they're just kind of holding on to.
Mario Galaxy 2, man, I love the cover art for that, where it was showing him riding Yoshi. Yoshi's flying.
Yeah,
Great cover art.
Great cover art.
I need to play it at some point.
You played part 1, right?
Oh yeah. I played part 1 numerous times, but never played 2. I own it now. I bought it like last year or something, but dude, getting the Wii out to play sucks.
It sucks ass.
I don't want to set up fucking sensor bar, and it's just annoying. So
I'm never gonna play the Wii ever again. So
maybe I don't know. Maybe this is a good candidate to play on Dolphin, like on an emulator or something. I own it, So
Probably, yeah. Yeah, you own it already, so it's all good.
Put that on Steam Deck. I wonder if it would work without the motion controls. There's probably solutions for that, though.
No, there's no replacement for Waggle, Dustin. There is no substitute for Waggle collecting little stars. There's no substitute. The Galaxy games made me nauseous, so I wasn't able to enjoy them. But I appreciate what they are. But I couldn't play it myself. It was the roundness of the world, same as Animal Crossing on Wii, just made me feel sick. And I just couldn't do it. I have some weird motion sickness type things with video games. It was, I think Secret of Mana on PS4. I think that's the one that I tried to play it. And the way that the world scrolls across when you move to a new area just made me feel sick. And I tried to play it for like an hour and just felt worse and worse. I was hoping it would go away. I was hoping I'd power through it. But same with like VR, same with Animal Crossing Wild World on Wii. There's just something about that game, something about that motion that like my brain was not having it. And Galaxy, unfortunately for how cute it was with Rosalina and the little stars and just watching Mario like traverse some of the smaller planets that are like very round, it just like made me feel terrible. So I'm sad I missed out on those only because I watched people play them briefly, but me playing it myself was just like, can't do it, couldn't get through it.
There's something common in all the things that make you sick, like Animal Crossing. Like, there's something about the edge of the world that you can see that seems to frighten you, right? Like, I get that, like you can't see the edge of the planet. Are you a flat earther, Micah?
No. Of all my weird things, I'm going to nip that one right now. Of all my weird things, I believe the Earth is donut shaped, but I don't think she's flat. I think it might be. I think the Bermuda Triangle is the middle of the donut. And that's where all the boats go when they disappear. That's where Malaysia flight, whatever, went. I'm not good at remembering numbers as we went over with the Rent song. But that's where that Malaysia flight went, right into the donut hole. Sailed right on through the bottom. That she's gone.
That's where all our socks go too. So, did I tell you guys that I was dating a flat earther for a bit this year?
Was that the Trump supporter?
Yeah, the Trump supporter from Alabama.
Supporter and a flat earther.
She's a Trump supporter from Alabama. She doesn't believe in the moon landing, and she's not really a flat earther, but she says she's not convinced that the Earth is round. So it's not quite there that the Earth is flat, but she doesn't really think that the Earth is that round. So
got a little bit of crazy.
Well, don't show her. There's that new movie coming out, right, about the moon landing, essentially, that like they lost the footage for it and they have to stage on like a movie set the moon landing so they actually can have the footage. It's set back in the day, and the idea is that the moon landing did actually happen, but they'd lost the footage, I think. And so they're trying to recreate it on this Hollywood set, and it's like very high security. Don't show her that, because that'll just sow even more doubt.
That would have been a perfect date night. Oh well. The dates were really weird. Where I'm just sitting there like, as she's talking about why the moon landing wasn't real, and I'm just like, just stone face.
I think that's our waiter with the mozzarella sticks, like just waiting for anything else.
But Gene, that didn't scare you off, or did it? Because you said you're not dating anymore, but
yeah, because it didn't work out clearly, but it didn't scare me off.
You're willing to give it a shot.
I'm very adventurous. Again, like the haunted houses. I'll go into a haunted house and I will date a Trump supporting flat earther. No problem.
Certainly.
She was cute. So what can you blame me?
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
I have no principles or morals to speak of.
Okay, I was trying to think of a joke to segue, but I'm like, there's no. Let's just. We can keep going. I'm the Grubermeister. What a name. Writes in.
We were talking about Mario Galaxy 2. Anyways, the Grubermeister.
Grubermeister says, "Hey, brick shitters! Wow, Nintendo Switch has one of the biggest collector communities that I've ever seen. What do you think it is about Nintendo Switch that drives so many people to become collectors? Is it just the Nintendo brand, or do cartridges have a more collectible quality to them? I would love to hear your personal thoughts." See, this is something that I've noticed, is that there are people that are hardcore into Switch game collecting, as if it were a retro system, but not retro and current, consistently has games out. I personally don't understand this. I guess I partially do because, as the audience knows, I try to buy all my games physically as much as possible. Though I will be breaking this Friday when that Path of the Goddess game comes out because it's digital only. They'll probably do a physical at some point, but so all my Switch games, for the most part, are physical. I have a very large physical collection, but I've seen people that goes beyond this where they're just like, oh, this is on sale, this is a rare game, whatever. They're like on for this massive Switch collection. And I mean, to each their own. I collect PS1 games. Some people wouldn't find that appealing, but some people really hardcore into Switch games specifically. Micah, you're also into physical collecting. I don't know how big your Switch library is specifically, but what do you think about this? The people that are all about collecting as many Switch games as possible, because certainly they're not playing them all. Certainly. But some of these people, they've got massive collections.
Yeah, I do love playing, physical games. I try to buy as many games on, cartridge or on disc as I can because I like having my little library to look at. When it comes to Switch and other games, I certainly try to only buy what I actually intend to play. Because I'm with you, Dustin. I'll see people just saying like Target is doing their buy two get one free sale, just stock up on Switch games that I don't think they'll ever actually want to play. And while I have like a decent backlog of games to get through, they're all games that I intend to play. I bought thinking I would enjoy them. I didn't buy it simply because it was on sale. I bought it because I was like, yeah, I want to play this at some point. So I do just love the Switch itself. I think it's a fantastic console. I weird things. I love the boxes. I really do. I think they're cool. There is something about cartridges that reminds me of being a kid. That reminds me of playing games at friends' houses. That reminds me of my first Game Boy. Things like that it is nostalgic. Maybe that is getting me a little bit. But it's also just the availability of so many of these games on cartridge where, something like Baldur's Gate 3, that Lockmort, I think I'm going to try it at some point. I think I'm going to. But the only way to get it physical is the collector's edition. And it's like, that's too far for me for a game that I don't even know if I will like. But it's just the availability of how many Switch games you're able to get on cartridge in the first place. I think that is just playing right for collectors of this is a convenient place to be a collector because these games are available. There's not a ton of games here that are digital only, for example, that are like big releases. Whereas something like Baldur's Gate 3, I was surprised that the only way to get it physical was the collector's edition. I was like, this is a big game, but it's a completely different market for Xbox and PlayStation, and the digital only crowd is only growing over there. So I think a big part of this is just the fact that on Switch, you're able to get these relatively easily. And it's just the availability, the price, the nostalgia definitely hits me though, with the little cartridges. I find them just very endearing is the word for it.
Gene, what do you think about this? I know that you're kind of, I don't know, what's your loyalty here on Switch? Are you digital? You receive, I'm sure, exclusively digital games, but you still go and buy plenty of copies.
Yeah, I usually just buy the physical. Luigi's Mansion, I haven't bought a digital. I actually got the Nintendo offer me a code. I didn't accept it. I was just like, I'm not gonna review this, so it's fine. I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nintendo sends me codes all the time, but I don't always just accept them. I just buy them sometimes. So people are like, "Well, Gene, you're just getting free codes." I was like, "Yeah, I can, but that's just for work. I'm not rich with games. Like I just have all these games, I like buying games. I like owning the games. I like making money, earning money, and then spending it to purchase games. I like collecting Nintendo too." To answer the question, yeah, Nintendo is a vintage company. There is no Nintendo is like the Nike of video games. So if you're gonna be a collector, Nintendo would be the most premium. And their products are rare. They don't always make, like, for example, action figures. So that's why Amiibo became so popular because wow, these are Nintendo figures. Yeah, Nintendo merch is interesting. The Nintendo store. There's not a lot of them. So when you buy something, you got it from the New York store or the Japan store. Yeah, there's a premium to Nintendo products that PlayStation kind of has, but and Xbox, like, what do they sell? They don't sell anything. So, you know,
I just saw
yeah,
they did have
PlayStation has.
an anniversary collection that they had a really cool Xbox Live Gold shirt. Or no, it just said Xbox Live, like the OG logo. And I was like, you know what?
That's
It's
cool.
kind of hot. I like it.
That's cool. Yeah, but but again, that's sadly well, yeah, because that harkens back to OG Xbox, and I don't know. I don't know. I feel like PlayStation is worse in terms of like acknowledging their past. Like it's weird that like Xbox is also like not that bad at it. Nintendo is probably the best at it, but PlayStation is like, I don't know. Here's Astrobot. Remember PlayStation 1?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Sony doesn't really put a premium on their own products either. They just sell things for like $600.
Certainly. And people will buy it.
Yeah.
Myself included.
I mean, yeah, but there are Sony PlayStation collectors. Obviously, I bought a PS2 in recent years too. So I'm still collecting PlayStation, but Nintendo is Nintendo. You can't put a price on that name and IP anymore.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it for punching up another episode in the books. Potentially my last for a little bit. We'll see. Most likely, well, let's see. 2 weeks from now, let me look at my my
Because
calendar.
the FBI caught you, so that's why.
So
that's why this is the last one.
Yeah. 2 weeks from today will be the day before the due date. So
wow.
Insanely, not insanely likely, but I would say highly likely. I mean, 2 weeks from today, the baby could be the day it happens. So
I hope it happens while we're recording. That'd be a monumental punching up moment.
That actually, we should have, like, for example, if all signs were clear that day, we should have Brad on anyways, on standby, like, and he's with us, because what if you did have to just like take off halfway through the show, and then Gene and I are just gonna be staring at each other? We can't.
That could be fun.
That'd be a 3-piece.
I think you two, could do it. I think the show notes are written out here for you. I would like to see.
They're just gonna do fanfic, basically. Gene and I running the show together would be like the fanfic version. There's gonna be somebody with their tits out. It's not gonna be what you expect, Dustin.
No,
it's not.
No, Micah, it's not gonna be a Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson situation. We're not gonna have a Super Bowl malfunction type of deal here. I assure you that. Even Dustin is speechless.
This is gonna ruin the tour or the podcast.
Dude, I love that phrase, dude.
This is gonna ruin the tour. The world.
This is gonna ruin the tour. Which tour? The world tour.
The world tour.
Now, Dustin, I was 2 weeks late. I was also a July baby. My birthday is tomorrow. And I was 2 weeks late. All right. You can't rush. The baby might say like, nah, man, I rented this place out for the whole month and I'm staying. Like, that's how it goes sometimes. But no, these are exciting times we live in, Dustin. Very exciting times.
I really hope he's not 2 weeks late because, okay, so obviously I know paternity leave, it's not a vacation, right? But in some way I am stepping away from work. So there is that. So it's like, and it's exciting because I'm going to have a kid, right? So I'm kind of like, I'm kind of feel like I'm just surviving and existing in both my work and all forms of my life. I'm just like, is today the day? Is tomorrow the day? What? So hopefully not 2 weeks late. I actually don't think they'll let you do that anymore. I think they will physically squeeze him
changed
out at that point.
They do now. They used to be very strict about not inducing labor. And I was born in the 90s. So they used to be very strict about not inducing labor, I believe, until you were even at like 42 weeks might have been the cutoff of like, okay, now they'll induce labor. They have shortened that because they recognize that like, no, the baby is ready. Okay, he's just not kicking off the right signal yet in mom to say, let's get out of here. But they used to just be like, nah, you just gotta wait. He'll get here when he gets here. And it was just like, it's very different now.
Yeah, different time. So, But yeah, who knows? Maybe next not week, but next episode, Brad will be here. Maybe he won't. Maybe I will abandon Micah and Gene to fend for themselves. It'll be like Garth on Wayne's World when Wayne. Have you guys seen Wayne's World where like Wayne leaves and Garth's like,
I completely forgot about that, but yeah.
So maybe that'll happen too. We'll see.
Wow, Wayne's World. This is before your time, buddy.
Well,
You were probably born like when Wayne's World came out.
Wayne's World is a year, so 1992. So it is before I was born, but I watched it when I was a kid, a ton.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's before my time, but I don't know, kind of not really, because I watched it a lot.
It's such a weird kids movie, but yeah, we all watched it when we were kids. So
Yeah.
strange.
Dude, the part when they're sucking up Garth's hair, the hair cutting vacuum,
Mhm.
weird full circle with vacuums and sucking this episode, but that part scared the shit out of me when I was really little. That he was like, and he's sucking his hair up.
Yeah.
But the rest of the movie, great.
Dude, I mean, that's just harkening back to Brave Little Toaster. The part where the vacuum goes crazy scared me so bad.
Is that different than the air conditioner?
The air conditioner also like explodes, but the vacuum like starts sucking up the blanket or something, I think. And like I just remember being terrified throughout that entire movie.
Goodness.
And thinking, who let me watch this? Can we put on the Iron Giant instead, please?
Iron Giant is the most, honestly, I might say it's the most underrated film of all time in my mind.
It's so good. It's so good.
Underappreciated. And now, dude, and every fucking time they're like, Warner Brothers, like, we got another crossover. Oh, pull him out. They're like wheeling out the Iron Giant. He's in a wheelchair. He's like, please stop. I want to let me rest. And they're like, nope, we need to have you sit courtside by the rapist from Clockwork Orange in the new Space Jam movie. Oh, we need you for Ready Player One. Oh, we're copying Smash Brothers. We're making a game. Let's get the Iron Giant out. Enough. Let him, if you're not going to appreciate him, and just let him be, please.
Mm-hmm.
Let him be. Well, now that this show has ended on an impassioned rant, let's say goodbye. Micah, goodbye.
Goodbye, Dustin. We're gonna be thinking of you these next couple of weeks. We're gonna be standing down, standing by, waiting to see what happens. We're just, I feel it. All right. I'm not. Now, my life, not going to change at all, really. I don't have to baby-proof my cabinets. I didn't have to put a bunch of stuff in the outlets to make sure nobody dies. But I feel it, Dustin. It's the excitement. It's like Christmas is right around the corner. And, my neighbor's going to get a bunch of stuff and I'm not going to get anything. That's kind of what it feels like, but in a good way. In a good way. So, Dustin, we're going to be thinking about you. We're going to be very excited for any announcements. I submitted to Holly my baby name guesses. They were all wrong. All right. Because I was hoping, I was like, if I get it right, it's canon that I had it right. I got them all wrong. Dang. But I'm still thinking, I still have time. I still have time, damn it. I'm going to try and figure it out. I had a dream that your baby was named Grey Nose. I don't think that's correct. I don't think it's correct, but it could be. Maybe I received some sort of intel over the waves.
Grey Nose sounds like a guy at a tavern in a Lord of the Rings. They're like, have you heard from Grey Nose yet?
Yeah, I've been reading a lot, so that's probably what it's from.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Of course, you guys already know. You guys will be some of the Last Stand collective. Maybe not the audience, but the staff. They're gonna know, like, I'm gonna be on the way, and I'm gonna be like, guys, there's a whole plan in place. It's like, it's go time. Duddy's going bye-bye, and now Jimmy, Locke, and Ben kicking into gear. So soon that will happen. The plan. Gene, goodbye to you as well. I meant to tell you this early on. I like that shirt. What is that from? What's going on there?
Oh, yeah, this is Susie the Sphere Hunter.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
It's just her shirt.
Just her shirt. That's some great merch. We need an anime shirt of us. Man,
that's true.
Great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of anime versions of you guys art out there. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe y'all can commission somebody.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, goodbye to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at these Amazon Prime deals right now. I think I'm gonna get a backbone. Sorry, hold on. A backbone. Because the last backbone, so backbones are mobile controllers that basically turn your iPhone or your phone into basically like a Switch or a Steam Deck, right? So you can play mobile games on it. But my last backbone, it's only with the Lightning port. So I upgraded my phone, and now I just have to buy a new fucking backbone.
Yep.
It's so annoying. But it's 30% off on Amazon, so I'm getting that. Also look at sound bars. I don't know.
Nice.
A $99 sound bar? I don't know. Maybe, but
Yeah, we'll certainly, honestly, sorry, there's like someone on a dirt bike outside my house here.
okay.
Oh, and I got a garbage truck outside,
No.
so perfect timing.
I don't remember what I was saying. Something
sound bars, yeah.
Sound bars. A $99 sound bar is going to do a lot better than your TV. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I have a sound bar, but it's also a $99 sound bar from a couple years ago. So I'm like, do I want? And it's also from like an off Chinese brand that I bought on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, maybe I could just buy a Sony one for $99. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think I should get one? I don't know.
I am a sound enthusiast, so I can't.
It's just like one sound bar for like the bass isn't that good on those, though, right?
No, not normally.
Yeah.
Like my sound bar is a whole system. It's got the rears and it has a subwoofer.
But those cost like a good $500 to $700, all right?
Yeah, it was not cheap.
I might just save it for that then instead. So
you should look into the Sonos. The Sonos might be a good solution for you since you're in an apartment. That's what I got Colin and Micah. I think is Sony. I don't know.
Sonos
soundbar. They are definitely premium in price as well.
Yeah. These are expensive for $500. So
there is. So the smaller one, the Sonos Beam 2, that's $500.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I got Colin and Micah. So
and it's very good. I played the Order 1886 with it. Fantastic sound design there.
Oh man.
And yeah, Enchanted Arms now. It sounds really great.
That's
I am enjoying
my birthday's coming up in 2 weeks. If you want to buy me one too.
You know what?
So.
I was gonna get that for you, but then I had to spend $300 on the baby monitor. So I'm shot now.
Sell it, Dustin. Sell the baby monitor.
I could return it.
You could just watch the baby. You think they had baby monitors in medieval times? You just watch. You just got to stand over the crib all night,
right?
And just watch.
Just watch them. You know, this baby monitor. Not to extend this episode out even more, but this baby monitor has a thing that you put on his foot, and it reads his heartbeat and his oxygen level. So like. Yeah. Because that's a big thing with SIDS is that like your baby can just like stop breathing. It's learning about SIDS is horrifying, but it's important as a new parent. But it'll give he wears this, and then it's like if they notice his breathing's not right, it will like alert your phone and tell you. So it's like a nice peace of mind against SIDS. So more expensive, but whatever. It was on sale for Prime Day. So thank you, Jeffrey Bezos, also Gene's boss. Helping us out.
When the baby is done using it, you put that little sock on your wiener overnight, monitor that.
There's not much activity going on overnight.
You're not wasting any money.
But certainly there is activity at some point. Maybe not for a bit after the baby's born. But I'll consider it, certainly. On that note, thank you guys for listening to Punching Up. Thank you to our patrons and, of course, everyone out there for giving us a listen and hanging out. We really appreciate it. Leave us a comment. Let us know your thoughts on the things that we discussed. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye. Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand, LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and produced by me, Dustin Furman. My co-hosts are Gene Park, Dagan Moriarty, and Micah Watson. The show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Punching Up, along with the rest of Last Stand Media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your kind contributions and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.